Chapter 492. Zhang Zhong was the first to receive the news. He was worried that the emperor would listen to Tang, governor of Ning's words, and send him to a more remote place. He did not care about the remote place, but he was unwilling to accept the fact that the construction of this place had not been completed yet. He asked someone to inform his son of this matter and see what his son would decide. If it did not work out, he would compromise. No matter what, he had to settle for Luzhou. In the end, he received news from the Inner Academy. To think that they didn't want to compromise, but rather they wanted to attack. Yes, Zhang Zhong understood the consequences of doing so. The commoners of Ginkgo would definitely follow him here. After all, Ginkgo was much better off compared to the other prefectures. Since his son said so, Zhang Zhong naturally wouldn't object. Until now, his son seemed to have never made a mistake. The only thing that could be considered a mistake was that he didn't know in advance about the flood at the beginning. But that was something that couldn't be helped. No one could have guessed that there would be such a big flood. Zhang Zhong made a decision in his heart and immediately began to make arrangements. He called the people who came from Qin province to the Yamen and prepared the rations. Then, he sent the commoners to Qin province to recruit people to his side. In fact, he did not need to do much to recruit them. The people who were affected by the disaster in Qin province had already begun to make their way here. This was especially true for the people from the few villages who were saved by Huzi and the others. They were bitterly disappointed with the local government. After the disaster, the first people to come to them were Luzhou's people. It was obvious that those people had spent a lot of effort to come here. How could an official who was good to the surrounding provinces not be good to the people under his rule? Hence, the commoners organized themselves and brought everything they could with them as they traveled along the mountain path toward Luzhou. It was not easy to bring a family along, but the journey was difficult. The commoners were determined to make their way to Luzhou. They could no longer continue living here. Those who could walk left immediately. Those who could not walk ran to the edge of the Qin River and hid in the ships, waiting for the ships to bring them back. Apart from the people who could not walk properly, only the patients whose conditions had stabilized were left on the ships. The doctors on the ships had done their best to save those who could be saved. At that time, a few people died every day. Now that the patients had stabilized, no more patients were sent over. The two ships distributed some food to the local people and prepared to return. During this time, Ning Zhongzi came twice. He thought he could win some people's hearts by coming here. After all, he was a provincial governor. He thought the people would be very touched by his visit. However, the result was different. The people were not touched at all. The people were grateful for the guards and doctors that Luzhou had sent over. Without them, more people would have died. Not to mention how many people were dug out from under the ruins of the houses. The people who were saved would not have been able to survive if it were any other time. Even if some people were not saved in the end, none of the people would say that the doctors on the ships were not good enough. Many of the patients were already dead in their eyes, but they were saved by the doctors on the ships. This was the ability of the doctors, let alone the doctors sent by Luzhou. With this, the people were more willing to go to Luzhou. They heard that Luzhou did not charge for medical treatment. In this way, not only was Luzhou's official good, but they also did not have to worry about getting sick. Many people died because they did not have the money to pay for medical treatment. If the doctors could treat those who were seriously injured, it was needless to say that the doctors could treat their minor illnesses. Initially, the population of Qin province was much larger than Luzhou. However, after this incident, more than 10,000 people wanted to leave Qin province and go to Luzhou. These people were very smart. They were afraid of being stopped, so they left separately. Today, a small portion of them left with all kinds of things. Tomorrow, a small portion of them would return and leave again. It gave people the impression that they were looking for work outside. Who would have thought that they were just trying to confuse the officials sent by Qin province? Just like that, before Zhang Zhong's people arrived, and before the officials of Qin province noticed anything, more than 10,000 people had all entered the mountains. When they arrived at the mountains, they found a place to gather. Then, the people marched toward Luzhou in a mighty manner. That was the life they yearned for. That was the heaven in their hearts. Hu Zi and the others were considered to have completed their mission. They followed the two large ships that were basically empty and headed back. Ning Zhongze also knew this news. He really wanted to keep the person who was being pulled by the large ship, but he didn't have that many doctors to do what he was going to do next. After giving it some thought, he felt that these injured people would be a burden, so he gave up. 2 days later, when news came one after another, Ning Zhongze was completely dumbfounded. What? All the people who were affected by the disaster are gone? Where did they go? Can't you tell from the footprints? Go after them. Don't let them leave. More than 10,000 people have left. Who's going to farm here? Who's going to do the work? What Ning Zhongze heard was the news of the people leaving the villages. He was shocked, but at the same time, he could not figure out how so many people could leave so easily. Logically speaking, he should have received the news long ago. The steward had a bitter expression on his face. When he heard the order from the master, he said, "Master, it's too late. I think those people have already entered the mountains. Even if there are traces, the people would have specially made the traces fade away. If we really send people to chase after them, we might be able to catch up with them. However, what can we do? How many soldiers do you have to send to force the people to come back? If we send too many, we won't be able to handle the situation here. If we send too few and force the people into a panic, it will easily lead to a rebellion. Master, you better think of a solution quickly." Of course, the steward knew why those people left and where they went. Apart from Luzhou, he could not think of any other place where the people could go by themselves. Ning Zhongze was also aware of this. However, as the steward said, once those people left, they did not intend to come back. This was not easy to handle. Even if he sent the soldiers to catch some people who left slowly, it would take a few days to catch up with them. After all, riding on the mountain was not allowed. If things went wrong, it would arouse a rebellion. At that time, even if he had 1,000 mouths, it would be useless. The emperor would not spare him easily. Thinking of this, Ning Zhongze became more and more annoyed. After a while, he sighed and said, "If I had known this would happen, I would have sent people out earlier and given them food. Now they have left. Even if I catch up with them and give them food, they may not agree to come back." All of this is caused by Zhang Zhong. If he didn't send a boat to deliver food and treatment, if he didn't send a small team of more than 100 people, how could the people be willing to go to Luzhou? I don't know what the report will do. I think the higher-ups will soon make a decision to send Zhang Zhong to a farther place. Ning Zhongze was at his wit's end, so he pushed all the blame to Zhang Zhong. He was still waiting for his report to work. If he went to the official post, he would get the news in 2 days. Of course, he did not know that the Zhang family had already known about this in advance. Just like what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan thought, Zhang Juling also had some pigeons in the capital. They were responsible for communication. No matter how fast a horse could run, it was far slower than a pigeon, and its endurance was much worse. Ning Zhongze knew that it was faster to go to the military post, but he did not dare to do so. If someone caught him, everything would be over. While Ning Zhongze was anxiously trying to think of a solution, those people had already walked a long distance away. It was very lively along the way, especially the cries of the children. Not only was it loud, but it was also very penetrating. The people on the side were shouting at the top of their lungs. "Go, go, go! Zhang Zhong, you and I are irreconcilable. You took away many of my people before, and then you bought a lot of things from me. Then you stopped my boat and took away all the things on my bed. Now you dare to do it again? Humph! If you don't let me have a good life, I won't let you have a good life either. Don't you want to collect some things as tributes? Collect, collect, collect. You haven't collected the money from the last disaster, right? I'll make sure you can't sell these things at a good price." Ning Zhongze said angrily. He ordered the steward, "Do we have a lot of things that should be used as tributes in our house? Take half of them and ship them to the capital. Quickly, yes, take the land route. Otherwise, if we continue to take the sea route, it will be easy for them to stop us again. I don't know how Chao Herue and the other two are doing. It seems that they encountered a strong wind. And the people on the boat, I don't know how many of them can't be found. Let's not talk about this for now. When you have people bring the goods to the capital, sell the local specialties we brought over at a cheaper price." Master, are you saying that you want to sell those tributes? That's not worth it. Why don't you let me think of a way? Even if we don't sell so many things, it's fine. Some of the tributes can't be used by ordinary people, but that's not a big deal. What can't be used by ordinary people can be used by rich people. As for the medicinal herbs and other things, everyone can't live without them. When we get there, we can sell them at a cheaper price. Then we can let the servants go there to buy them. We can say that they're sick after eating something and don't call a doctor. Let them pretend and see who will laugh in the end. After a few times of this, the price of the same goods will become cheaper. When the Zhang family sells them, people will be worried, so there will be fewer people who don't buy them. At that time, we can take out the other things in our house and sell them very cheaply. Although doing this will cause us a lot of losses, it's still better than Zhang Zhong's family. What do you think, Master? If we sell them now, when Zhang Zhong's family also sells them, we won't have anything to lower the price. When the steward heard this, he immediately knew what the master was thinking. However, he thought further. He lowered his head and explained the plan, which was more detailed and more reliable. Okay, I'll leave it to you now. You must do a good job. I don't believe that Zhang Zhong is so rich that he won't be anxious if he can't sell the things he bought. All right, tell the local people about the goods that Zhang Zhong's family shipped here. Especially tell them how much those things are worth in other places. Then find some reasons to say that these things are not good. See what Zhang Zhong will do. Ning Zhongze couldn't wait to find Zhang Zhong and bite off a piece of meat from Zhang Zhong. This Zhang Zhong was too hateful. He couldn't let him go so easily. The only thing he regretted was that he helped Zhang Zhong write a good memorial. He didn't know what the people in the imperial court would think. They would probably say that he went back on his word, right? But he couldn't care so much. When the time came, he had to keep the people who came to check. Wasn't it just a benefit? He could give more, but he definitely couldn't let Zhang Zhong have an easy time. Ning Zhong's hands clenched into fists. His nails dug deep into the flesh of his palms. This time, the steward didn't say anything. He could see that the master wanted to use the family's wealth to fight with Zhang Zhong. He didn't know how much money Zhang Zhong's family had. Although the Ning family was an aristocratic family, they didn't keep a lot of money at home. They used it to do business. The 2 ships that came back this time were part of that money, and the goods that Zhang Zhong took away were all worth a lot of money. Now, the goods were gone, and 1 ship was missing. In such a strong wind, the ship was likely to have sunk. He just didn't know what happened to the people on the ship. Until now, there was no news at all. The steward took the order and left, leaving Ning Zhongze alone in the study. He stared blankly at the books on the table and murmured, "Zhang Zhong, oh Zhang Zhong, when the people sent by the higher-ups arrive here, I'll see what kind of consequences you will have. You dare to steal my place, my people, and my goods. I'll make you regret being born." Ning Zhongze was now thinking that when the time came, Zhang Zhong couldn't compete with the Ning family and didn't take back all the money he spent. Then, Zhang Zhong would come to him and beg face to face. In this way, he could enjoy the fun of life. Thinking of this, Ning Zhong's mood improved a lot. It was as if he could really do it. When he thought of the money, he also thought of the money Chao, Hui, and the other 2 took from him. The money was flying money. When the time came, they could come here and withdraw the money with the flying money. No, if the 3 of them die, the flying money will be taken by someone else. Then, it will be easy for someone to come here and take the money away. In this case, they may not survive anyway. It's better to make arrangements first and not let others take the money away. Yes, someone come. After muttering a few more words, Ning Zhongze shouted outside and waited for someone to come in. Then he said to the person who came, "Tell those pawnshops that the flying money sent out a few days ago, except for Chao Hui and the other 2, don't care about the others. Also, why haven't the people we sent out to inquire about the news come back yet? If we send out more people, it will be difficult for us if we don't know about Lu Zhou's situation. If we want to deal with Zhang Zhong, we have to know what he is going to do. Even if we can't destroy them this time, we have to make them suffer. Humph! How dare they go against me?" When the person who came and heard this, he left in a hurry. As soon as he left, the person who went to inquire about the news came back. He looked travel-worn. When he saw Ning Zhongze, he said, "Master, we're all back. We've almost finished inquiring about the situation over there." "Oh, you found out? Tell me, what's the situation over there?" Ning Zhongzi was finally a little happier. At least, he could learn about the situation over there as soon as possible. To answer your question, Master Lu Zhou is still repairing the seawall and has spent a lot of money to build the road. The local people are working hard at their jobs. Basically, there isn't much to do. Oh, there's a dock at the docks. We can't go there because it's too closely guarded. However, we can see that the dock is very big. Perhaps they're going to use it to build big ships. Also, Chao Hui and the other two have gone back. They're more honest over there. They do some small business every day. They don't make much money, but they don't have to worry about continuing to pay their debts. We also found out that Zhang Zhong seems to be building some wooden houses over there. It's on the mountain. Some of the people have already built them there. The person who came in told Ning Zhongzi what he had heard. There were also some small things that seemed to be nothing serious. When he said it, he did not care. Ning Zhongzi listened quietly, but he was very shocked. He did not expect the Zhang family to spend so much money to repair the road and the dock. He did not know why they were building a dock here. Wasn't there a dock in the capital? Apart from a dock, they were also building houses on the mountain? What was the use of that? Ning Zhongzi was even more puzzled when he thought about it. However, he really could not guess the Zhang family's plan. At the same time, he was also jealous. For what he heard, Luzhou's province would undergo a great change at the beginning of spring next year, the kind that would change for the better. This was something that he really didn't want to see, especially when it came to road repair. If the people who came to investigate found out about this matter, and there were some people who were straightforward, his plan might fall through. How did you come back? Did you see a large number of people going over there? Ning Zhongzi temporarily suppressed the displeasure in his heart and asked the person who went to inquire about the news. In reply to Master, we didn't see any people. We came back along the river. We also saw our boat. It has fallen on the shore, and some of it is still soaking in the water. Master, the boatmen on the boat were also sent to the yamen by Zhang Zhong. I don't think they will come back. The person who inquired about the news answered as he was asked. At this time, he knew that Master was in a bad mood and was afraid that he would be whipped if he angered Master. This news was not good for Ning Zhongzi. He thought that the boat was so damaged that it would take a lot of effort to repair it. He also needed people to go over there to repair it. He could not bring the boat back, could he? Well, the three of them have gone back. In that case, their debt was paid with the flying money. Zhang Zhong, oh, Zhang Zhong, don't say that I'm unreasonable, but it's you who asked me to meet you. You can forget about getting the money. Anyway, you should give the debt to the three of them. Ning Zhongzi waved his hand and asked the person who inquired about the news to leave. He sat there and said with a sinister smile, he was going to do things not according to the rules. The reason was very simple. He would find an excuse to say that his pawn shop lost something, including the flying money. If it was any other time, he would definitely not do this. He would lose his credibility. But who asked the flying money to be in Zhang Zhong's hands? Since that was the case, he would rather lose some credibility. As long as he found a good excuse and treated others the same as before, he would not be worried. Time passed quickly while he was thinking about how to deal with Zhang Zhong in the future. Just when it was time for dinner, the person who went to talk to the pawn shop came back anxiously. As soon as he saw Ning Zhongzi, he said, Master, those pawn shops have gone, but the money has been taken away. What should we do, Master? What? Taken away? So fast. Oh, damn Zhang Zhong. I didn't expect him to do this. It seems that he sent people to take the flying money away as soon as he got it. What should we do? It's tens of thousands of strings of coins. What should we do? When Ning Zhongzi heard that the money was taken away, he immediately changed his expression. His face was gloomy, as if he didn't like anything. He didn't know that Zhang Zhong had long expected him to do this. After taking the flying money, he didn't directly cancel the debts of the three people. Instead, he asked people to go to the mountain first and then take the money out as quickly as possible. The money that was taken out had not been returned yet. Only when the money was seen could the three people be released. Otherwise, they would have to continue to pay the debt. Of course, they didn't have to pay any interest these days. After all, the other party had taken out the flying money. Ning Zhongzi just stood up from a futon in surprise. Now that he thought about it, he fell back down dejectedly. His eyes stared straight ahead, without any focus at all. The person who went to do the thing quickly came over and massaged his back. He was worried that the master couldn't bear this kind of blow. If something happened, it would be difficult for the Ning family to get a provincial governor. He said while massaging the person, "Master, isn't it just that little bit of money? I don't think they have time to take the money away. Send someone to investigate. Maybe we can find out where the money is." At that time, it's not a big deal. The person stopped massaging his back and made a beheading gesture, which meant that he wanted to get the money back. Yes, we must investigate. No matter where they hid the money, we must find it for me. I don't believe that they could transport so much money away so easily. Fortunately, I sent people to watch the other side of the river. Otherwise, they would have very likely taken the money onto the boat. Go and arrange it right away. Tell the people who investigate that as long as they find the money, reward them. Reward them heavily. Even if it's a reward of 1,000 strings of coins, it's worth it. They want to take away the money from me? Dream on. Chapter 493. The person who gave Ning Zhongzi the idea was indeed quite smart. Ning Zhongzi's plan was not bad either. When Zhang Zhong found out about this matter, he would casually find a reason, such as saying that the goods were stolen by criminals. Then, he would put on an act, casually draw a few portraits, and say that someone had seen those people. When the time came, he would ask the people here to look around and say that they did not find the criminals. No matter how powerful Zhang Zhong was, what could he do? He would still have to endure it. Even if he knew that his side had done something, there was nothing he could do. The people in the yamen quickly rushed out. They also wanted to get the reward. This time, it was not like before, where it was only a little bit, only a few dozen copper coins. This time, it was 1,000 strings of coins. Even if so many people divided it, each person could get a lot. It was more than what they could get in a year of work. Naturally, the people sent by the Zhang family would not wait for others to come to them. After they received the money, they did not plan to bring it back to Luzhou at all. Just when others wanted to investigate them, they were busy again. Under the temptation of money, those people thought of all kinds of ways to find them. However, they found that they could not get the money back at all. These people bought all the goods in the local area. No matter what it was, as long as it could be bought with money, these people bought it all. After buying a batch, they put it on the carriage and shipped it away. They did not stop at all. The place where they were shipped was north, ready to take the land route. As for how to get it back when the time came, it was not urgent. When the people in the yamen found the people sent by the Zhang family, there was only one last batch of goods left, which was worth about 2,000 strings of coins. When the people from the Zhang family saw these people in the yamen, they smiled. One of them said, "Are you going to take all our money and say that it was done by criminals? It's too late. What should be shipped has been shipped away. If you go after them now, by the time you catch up, you will be in the territory of other provinces. Let's see if you still dare to say that it was stolen by criminals. Also, we have released the news. You know about the flying slave, right? We only brought a few with us when we came here, and now there are 2 left. Another one is about to fly away. Oh, you guys didn't bring a crossbow, then we can't stop it." As he spoke, another pigeon was released. Seeing the pigeon fly away, the people from the yamen didn't know what to do. The leader ordered his men to surround the members of the Zhang family and not let them escape. He hurriedly went to report this matter to the master and see what he would do. Ning Zhongzi was still thinking about good things, but he was hit hard by this news. He smashed a lot of things, but he was still angry. He slapped the person who came to report a few times and shouted at him, "Scram back. Hurry up and withdraw your men. What are you still doing over there? What's the point of something worth 2,000 strings of coins? Everything else was gone. Are you stupid? Why did you only find them now? If you had found them earlier, you would have been able to get more. Why didn't you stop them when so many goods were transported away? Huh? Why didn't they stop him? Didn't you always stop merchants when they came here?" Ning Zhongzi didn't dare to do anything now, mainly because it wasn't worth it. He took such a big risk for 2,000 strings of coins. If Zhang Zhong made a move, it wouldn't be worth it. So he had no choice but to vent his anger on these people. The person who was beaten didn't dare to say anything. He stood there and waited for the master's order, hoping that the master wouldn't vent his anger on him again. "Why don't you scram? They all retreated and told the people sent by the Zhang clan that this was a misunderstanding. They heard someone say that there were bad people here, and they didn't want them to get something on them. Why didn't they go quickly? What were they doing? So many goods were transported away from our province, but you didn't stop them. Seeing that the people who came over were still standing there, Ning Zhongzi got even angrier. The person who came to report finally found a chance to explain. He said to Ning Zhongzi, "Master, it's not that we don't want to stop them, but we can't stop them at all. Who would have thought that those people from a Zhang family would be so bold? They actually used our caravan to help them transport the goods. They even gave us a lot of money. Master, you know what kind of caravan our caravan's caravan is. Each caravan is pulled by 2 horses and is very fast. At that speed, the goods would have been transported away long ago. Even if we chase them now, we can only get back a little. Altogether, it's less than 4,000 strings of coins. Master, how can we stop our own family's caravan? Why don't we send someone to chase after them? If they want to transport the goods further away, as long as we catch up with them, we can let our caravan return." Hearing this person's words, Ning Zhongzi gasped. At the same time, he admired the people sent by the Zhang family. These people were really careful and bold. They bought the goods as soon as they got the money, and after that, they used their own caravan to help transport the goods. No one would have thought that it would be like this. If he had known about this situation a day later, he would have vomited blood in anger. That's right, the Ning family trading company's fleet was unmatched in this area. It was precisely because of this that their business had always been good. Now, even though they had accepted a big business deal, they had lost even more money. Shaking his head, Ning Zhongzi said to the person, "No need to chase them. Since they already thought of using our caravan, there will definitely be people following them. I think the goods that arrived first have already been unloaded after crossing the province. There are already empty caravans going back. Good ability. The Zhang family is really amazing. The people they sent to do this can be so thoughtful. Look at you. How could you not think of this? If they can compare to the people sent by the Zhang family this time, then I don't need to worry about them. Let's go. Withdraw those people and pretend this never happened." Ning Zhongzi waved his hand again, asking the man to leave. After the man left, he sat there and continued to be lost in thought. He really couldn't understand how the Zhang family had nurtured such a person. Perhaps even his own steward could only reach such a level when he went out to do things. Perhaps it was even worse than that. From the looks of it, if he wanted to deal with Zhang Zhong, he had to come up with a foolproof plan. Otherwise, he would easily fall into Zhang Zhong's trap. The Zhang family's people were soon out of danger. They were quite scared just now. They were worried that Ning Zhongzi would hate them and want to kill them at all costs. If that happened, they could only fight with everything they had. Even if they couldn't escape, they couldn't just wait for death. They're gone. They're finally gone. Ha! Now we don't have to be afraid. I was scared to death just now. The person sent by the Zhang family, who was in charge, wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said to the others. The others also felt weak. They were too nervous just now. Fortunately, they had transported those goods away. Otherwise, with so many goods, they would definitely be killed. All right, let's take a break. We'll leave with this last trip. When we arrive at the other side, we'll make a detour and ship the goods to Luzhou. Although the transportation fee is higher this time, and the price is slightly higher when we buy the goods, I'm sure Master won't say anything. It's as if we've just picked up the money for free. The steward gulped down a bowl of water, wiped his mouth, and instructed the few people. The few people also felt a sense of exhaustion. They directly laid on the ground and waited for a while to leave this place. This time, they could be considered to have made a great contribution. The youngest one lay on the ground and said, "It was thrilling. This is the real adventure. Fortunately, we persevered. I'll go back and tell them." Those people who stayed in the courtyard all day were scared to death. It was really exciting. I really want to do it again, as long as my life is not in danger. Then you can do it again by yourself. We won't take the risk with you. This time, even if it's night, we may be left here and can't go back. Now, I just want to see the people over there as soon as possible, have a good meal, and then have a good sleep. I've been on tenterhooks every day for the past few days. The person next to the one who spoke just now put his hand on his chest and narrowed his eyes. The others felt the same. They were the most reassuring people in the inner courtyard, which was why they were sent here. However, it was not easy for them. In the past few days, they were always awakened by nightmares in their sleep. It seemed that they were going to die at any time. The Zhang family did not know that the people they sent to get the money had changed their minds. They did not take the money back, but bought the goods. They did not know how much danger they had taken, especially Zhang Zhong. He did not believe that Ning Zhongzi would dare to make a move at this time. Of course, he was judging others by their own standards. But when the carrier pigeon flew back, Zhang Zhong was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't care about the money, but he was afraid. If the people he sent out were in danger, then the Zhang family's losses would be great. Any one of those people could be put out to do something, and they would be able to take care of things on their own. I can't do this in the future. I have to be more stable. I can't let my people take risks casually. Zhang Zhong placed the slip of paper on the table and drank a mouthful of tea. Only then did he feel a little better and said to himself with lingering fear. After a while, Zhang Zhong calmed down a little. He stood up and took the note to find his son. He wanted to let his son know how to deal with this matter. He wanted to let Ning Zhongzi give a reasonable explanation or pretend that he knew nothing and agreed with Ning Zhongzi's possible explanation. When Zhang Xiaobao saw the words on the note, he was silent for a while and said, "Send someone to question Ning Zhongzi. Ask him why he did this." Zhang Xiaobao thought about it clearly. Even if he asked, there would be no result. In the end, it would be left unsettled. However, if he did not ask, Ning Zhongzi would definitely think that his side was weak. This was a matter of attitude. He could not pretend that he knew nothing. Other than asking, they also had to increase the pressure on Ning Zhongzi. That was, they had to have some armed men on the ships that came back and then make a trip to the Qin River. They had to stop at the place closest to the Yamen and make it look like they could attack at any time. If Ning Zhongzi asked why, they had to say that they were helping him eliminate criminals. In this way, Ning Zhongzi would be able to restrain himself. When he was done with other things, he would not have to worry about any bad ideas. Father, just in time. Send these notes to Chao Hui and the other two. Ask them what is going on and whether they are trying to deceive us. Tell them that if those goods do not come back safely, then they will continue to take out money to repay the debt. If our people are hurt, then let them think about it themselves. Zhang Xiaobao decided to make good use of this opportunity. Chao Hui and the other two had been living too comfortably recently. He had to make them live on tenterhooks at all times. If he did not torture them properly, then he would be letting down the bad things they had done in the past. Wang Wan asked at this time, "Is it useful to tell them these things? What if they are not afraid? After all, these goods have been shipped out, right? It is useful. They will not think about whether the goods will be intercepted by the passing prefectural government. They will think about whether we will say that the goods were lost, even though we clearly did not lose them. Even though no one was hurt, they will say that they were hurt. This is what they are most worried about. Let them not have a good night's sleep. They will continuously test us to see how we will deal with them. Father, you can send some people to secretly monitor them, but they must find out. This way, they will constantly think about whether we are going to make a move on them." Zhang Xiaobao was very confident in this aspect of human nature. He smiled at Wang Wan and his father. "You are too naughty, little treasure. You actually want to use this to torture them. Fine, let's make them suffer. To think that they actually dared to go to Ginku to deliver information. If we let them off lightly, who knows how many more would want to try in the future." Wang Wan understood now. It was true. People were not afraid of thieves stealing, but they were afraid of thieves thinking about them. An unsheathed sword was better not to be drawn. The matter was decided like this. Zhang Zhong wrote a letter and asked someone to bring it to Tang, governor of Ning, on the boat that was going to Qinzhou. On the other side, he found Chao Hui and the other two people and asked them to look at the notes. He also repeated what Zhang Xiaobao said to them. Sure enough, the three people trembled in fear. They did not expect that Tang, governor of Ning, would dare to do this at this time. This was clearly a trap. They did not know that Tang, governor of Ning, thought that they had gotten the IOUs, so he sent people out. The three people did not know how they left the Yamen. Anyway, They fell ill when they returned home. As Zhang Xiaobao said, they were afraid that Zhang Zhong would deliberately use this excuse to deal with them. They were afraid that Zhang Zhong would deliberately use this excuse to deal with them. They would say that something happened on the way to Qinzhou. Their illness was not that serious. It was just a mental illness. It was not to the extent that they fell ill. This was just an act for Zhang Zhong to see. They wanted to show weakness to Zhang Zhong. They wanted to let Zhang Zhong know that they had become timid and would not cause trouble here. However, Zhang Zhong still sent people to monitor them. He even found a doctor to treat them. Fortunately, this kind of mental illness was usually not obvious. They just had to lie down and look bad. Then, they would be fine with whatever they say. This matter was temporarily put aside by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They were waiting for the ship to pass by. They wanted to see the reaction of Qinzhou before making the next step. The two people were still busy making cement. The matter of the lighthouse could not be delayed any longer. The sooner it was done, the sooner they could increase their income. Actually, a lighthouse made of wood was also fine, as long as the wood was thick and strong enough, and they were serious when they were repairing it. It would be able to survive a normal typhoon. However, in that case, the consumption of wood would be too great. It was better to leave it for ships. All of the experimental products were numbered. They had already burned 2 kills of them, but the results were not that good. They found one that could be said to be the best one in the experiment. The 2 of them continued to adjust the ratio of various things according to this. After another 3 days, when a new kiln of cement was fired, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan personally cooked a meal to celebrate. Although this cement was not as good as the various kinds of cement used in the past, it was still good for building houses, paving roads, and repairing docks, especially the seawall. When it was almost done, it would be better to put a layer of cement on top of it. When the first flower bed made of cement appeared, Li Sun also came over and used a hammer to hit it. In the end, he found that this thing was really hard. He did not understand why the powdery thing became so hard after adding some water. No matter what happened, he finally knew the purpose of this material. It could be used to build houses and build city walls. Yes, it could be used to build city walls. This was the biggest use of cement. When new things were invented, they had to think about military aspects first. Quick, give me the recipe. I will send it up. This is good. As long as the walls are built high enough, let's see how those people can attack. If it is thicker, it will be useless even if they use catapults to hit it. Also, I found something. If the cement is used as the stones thrown by the catapults, then there is no need to worry about not being able to find stones. It is fast to make, and we could try to make it look the same. This way, the catapults will be more accurate. Quick, give me the recipe. This time, your family has made a great contribution. Li Sun urged for the recipe. He was preparing to use it on the battlefield. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan shook their heads at the same time. Zhang Xiaobao said, "This recipe can't be given to you. Otherwise, it will be troublesome." Do you know how much damage the production of this cement will do to people? Furthermore, can you guarantee that once this prescription is sent up, no one in the imperial court will leak it out? If the enemy gets this recipe, what do you think the consequences will be? Even if those ministers don't leak it, can you keep it a secret during the production? When you think of a foolproof method, we will give it to you. Now is not the time. However, we can ask the imperial court to buy this cement. We are stricter here. This place is safer than Chang'an. There are too many people from various countries there. Even if they don't want to inquire about the news when they first come, when they know about this cement, can you guarantee that they will be so obedient? No. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to do the same. No matter what, I have to think of a way to get this kind of weapon. I'll listen to you now, but I have to tell my father and uncle about this matter. Can this cement hurt people? Are you willing to send people from the inner courtyard? Forget it. I think you will have a way to do this kind of thing. Do you need to spend a lot of money again? Quickly make more of it and then ship it to the capital. Uncle can use it to build some palaces or something. Also, the roads in Chang will be very muddy when it rains sometimes. You said that this thing can be used to build roads. That's good. Also, the city walls of Chang are made of mud now. We can't afford so many big stones. When the time comes, the city walls of Chang will be all made of cement. It will look more beautiful and majestic. Yes, it will be taller. Li Sun became more and more excited as he spoke, as if he could see the future city walls of Chang, and his face was full of yearning. Speaking of this, he suddenly asked Zhang Xiaobao, "How much are you going to sell this cement for? Is it too expensive? If it is more expensive than the big stones, then forget it. We don't need money, as long as it is to build the city walls and roads of Chang, and we don't need money. But if those rich people want to use cement to build houses or something, I hope the imperial court will not interfere with this. When the time comes, we will use the bag of cement. A bag of cement costs 500 coins. I believe many rich people are willing to spend this money. Also, don't charge us tax for selling the cement. When the time comes, as long as we ship the cement, half of the ship will be given to the imperial court to build the city walls and roads of Chang, and free of charge. After all, Chang and is also the city walls of Tang. As a citizen of Tang, it is natural for us to contribute to our country," Zhang Xiaobao said with a serious face, which scared Li Sun. After a while, Li Sun came to his senses. He did not believe that Zhang Xiaobao would have such a high awareness. The Zhang family always hid the things they made. If it was really like what Zhang Xiaobao said, it would be impossible for them to keep the secret until now. Li Sun curled her lips and said, "All right, stop lying. From your words, I know that even if you give away half of the ship and sell half of the ship, your family will still be able to make a profit. Moreover, the profit won't be small. Otherwise, if you really can't make a profit from transporting cement from so far away, wouldn't it be better to transport other goods? Well, it is very likely that the cost of shipping the cement is more than selling the other goods. Then how much is the cost of your cement? This is really a big profit. Tell me, I won't tell anyone, really." Li Sun also wanted to know the cost. He calculated the cost of shipping the cement and the other goods and was shocked. "Can you really keep it a secret?" Zhang Xiaobao asked. "Yes, you can rest assured that I won't tell anyone," Li Sun promised. Chapter 494. As soon as the cement was made, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan began to design the gas masks. Just wearing a mask wasn't enough. There was no way to protect one's eyes for the time being. The glass hadn't been made yet. There was too little transparent glass, so they had to wait for the fleet from the capital to come over. If the glass hadn't been made by then, they would use transparent glass to replace it. It would cost a lot of money, but it was all worth it. After all, the people in charge of keeping the kiln secret were from the inner courtyard. Needless to say, they were very loyal. After learning from them for a few years, they all treated them like treasures. It wasn't about how many words they had learned or how many books they had read. It was better to find a student for those things. The most important thing was that some of the people in the inner courtyard could keep up with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. This was the most important thing. The people in the inner courtyard could understand what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan said and what they meant. They would act in the same way. This kind of tacit understanding was the key to the rapid development of the Zhang family and Wang family. How could Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan bear to let them get hurt? For example, this time when they went to withdraw money. If it were other people from the mansion, they would definitely be punished. However, the people sent by the Zhang family were very flexible. When they were doing things outside, they could rest assured. As long as they handed the matter over, they would use their own methods to achieve their goals. This kind of specialized thinking wasn't so simple. It was just like the question Exiner asked at that time. What to buy after the disaster jumped out of fixed mindset. Now, even Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's families were different from before. Zhang Xiaobao's father, Zhang Zhong, especially, was very flexible in doing things. In order to maintain this kind of situation, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan thought of many different gas masks. They would use leather to make the outer cover and make a space inside to put some cotton or charcoal. It would be better if they could put water inside. When they breathe, the outside air would have to pass through the water to enter. However, the two of them found that once water was put in, regardless of whether they put in charcoal or cotton, the two things would lose their original function. The effect would be bad if they were wet. It was actually very simple to put the water in a low position. As long as they wanted to breathe, the air would have to pass through the water to enter the mouth, just like a hookah. It was also easy to be waterproof. The technology here had already reached that level. The two of them finally decided to make a water mask and a mixture of cotton and charcoal. They would see which of the two had better effects. They would use whichever was more useful in the future. With the cement, the speed of the construction of the lighthouses was faster. One by one, the lighthouses were quickly built under the diligent work of the people. The tall ones were more than 10 meters, and the short ones were only 5 or 6 meters. There were also some stones and other things. Unfortunately, the cement was still not good, and there weren't enough steel bars to use. It was impossible to build them too high. The height of more than 10 meters was actually built with cement and sand. If it were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the cement would be able to build several lighthouses like this. However, the two of them were not good enough. They couldn't make high-grade cement and didn't have steel bars. They didn't know much about construction. This was not a garden design job. This was a real job. It would be better if they had a civil engineering student. Zhang Zhong saw that the dock was also replaced with cement. Some of the roads were also paved with cement. He sighed and didn't say anything. When he returned home, he went to see his wife. He said to Zhang Wang clan, "Our son and daughter-in-law must be immortals. It can't be wrong. I'm more and more sure now. Don't you think so? I said so a long time ago. You said they were monsters. Have you ever seen such a good monster? They are filial, good to the people at home, and care about the people. If all monsters were like this, would they still be monsters? Besides, when Xiao Bao was born, there were no abnormalities. Usually, if a monster was born, the sky would change color. How can you be so sure?" Zhang Wang clan touched her belly, which didn't change at all, and said with a happy face. It was unknown whether it was because of the child in her belly or because of her son and daughter-in-law. Zhang Zhong also came over to touch her belly. After his hand was pushed away, he said, "Think about it. What did our son do when he encountered a natural disaster? In Huaiyuan County, it was said that even the heavens couldn't do it. In the end, it opened a hole, and there was an extra lake. Although our son didn't do anything to fly in the sky, he was able to fix the hole that looked like a breach. Isn't that fighting against the heavens? Also, that thing called a jib sail. Other people can't sail when the wind is against them, but our boat can still move forward. This is also fighting against the heavens. Later, when we came here, we made the wooden raft formation. Who would have thought that those wooden rafts together saved many people's lives? Isn't that fighting against the heavens again? When we were at home, we did something like growing vegetables in the winter. Who could do it? Who dared to think about it? The heavens changed 4 seasons. Who dared to do something against the heavens? But our son and daughter-in-law dared to do it. It was fine even if they went against the heavens. If other people went against the heavens, wouldn't they be struck by lightning? Xiao Bao and Cuckoo were so powerful. The heavens might be unhappy and blame them for building the sea wall and those roads. Didn't they create a strong wind to eat? Our son and daughter-in-law immediately brought everyone to hide in the mountains. When the heavens saw that they couldn't do it, they turned to another place. But the heavens left this time. They might come again next time. When that time comes, it might not be a strong wind. What should we do? Our son and daughter-in-law are immortals. They do things that defy the heavens. The 2 children immediately made that thing called cement just to resist the heavens. Oh, by the way, you haven't seen cement yet. Some things are burned in a kiln. After the kiln is burned, they are turned into foam. Once this foam comes into contact with water, it will be harder than stone. Just tell us. Next time, even if there is a strong wind, we don't have to be afraid. Also, our son and daughter-in-law made something called a lightning rod. It's better than the things we put on the roof. No matter how big the thunder is, we don't have to worry. It's not afraid of the wind. The house built with cement is not afraid of hail. With a lightning rod, we don't have to be afraid of thunder. The heavens are suppressed by our son and daughter-in-law. They won't be able to make any waves. The more Zhang Zhong spoke, the more excited he became. Zhang Wang clan also liked to hear praise for her son and daughter-in-law. At this time, when she heard the man's words, she nodded and said, "Isn't that so? If they weren't immortals, they wouldn't be able to do such a thing. This should be the accumulation of good karma by our ancestors. I don't know how many generations of good karma they have accumulated to give us these two little immortals. Although they can't go to heaven or earth, they can use another method to defy the heavens. It's not bad. Immortals that are too powerful can't be given to us. Where's Xiao Bao and Cuckoo doing now? When the Jiang Wang clan talked about it, she wanted to take a good look at her son and daughter-in-law, so she asked softly, "They're making gas masks. The cement might be too heaven-defying." In the end, our son said that it's easy to get sick when making the cement, and it's an incurable disease. When the time comes, people's lifespans will be shortened. This is actually going against the heavens and shortening one's lifespan. In order to prevent the people in the inner courtyard from shortening their lifespan, the two kids started making that thing. Zhang Zhong found a reason for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's series of actions. It was the kind that was closely linked, and it was very magical. If Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard this, how would they feel? Perhaps they would admire their father even more. It wasn't easy. The two of them didn't say anything, but their family helped them think of a reason. They even connected the cement and gas masks together. Oh, it's really not easy. As long as the people in the inner courtyard are fine, it's fine. Don't mention those heaven-defying things in the future. I originally want to go and take a look, but I won't go now. Xiao, Bao, and Cuckoo aren't afraid of the heavens, and as their mother, I shouldn't be afraid either. But what if the children in my belly can't stand the heavens? Later, I'll ask someone to make something good for Xiao Bao and Cuckoo to eat. It's not easy to go against the heavens. No wonder they ate so much in the past. Make more meat. Also, prepare some bone marrow that the two children like to eat. Steam it and dip it in salt and pepper to eat. Jiang Wang clan didn't want to go and take a look. She also found a very reasonable excuse for herself. Zhang Zhong nodded in agreement. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were really tired. The two of them needed to make things by themselves, and the people below them were busy with other things. The two of them felt that the gas mask should be easier to make. They didn't need to be able to block any gas. As long as they could block the dust, it would be fine. The two of them were busy for almost a day, and only 4 of them were made. 2 were made of water, and 2 were made of coal and cotton. They wanted to let the people over there try it first. The seal wasn't very good, which meant that if it was gaseous, it wouldn't be able to block it at all. It always leaks from the side of the ear and the face. Let's wait for them to try it. Their faces are bigger, and if it doesn't work, we can just use some glue to block the leak. This is because our skills are not good. Fortunately, we made it. Let's wait for someone with good skills to make it. I think there won't be a problem. Wang Wan took off the gas masks and said regretfully. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in agreement. He and Wang Wan had been very serious, but the things they made were just for show. It seemed that they could only wait for someone with good skills to make it. When the time came and the seal was still not good, they would need to use glue or something to block the leak. There shouldn't be a problem. The two of them took the gas masks and found the people working over there. There were exactly 4 of them, so they each took one and asked them to try it on. The people in the inner courtyard took the gas masks and put them on very seriously. They nodded to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and said in a somewhat vague voice, "It's better. It's much better than before. Thank you, young master and young lady. With this thing, we won't be afraid of inhaling a mouthful of dust. Then let's use it first. We'll talk about it during dinner later. The eyes will be blocked in the future, so let's just put up with it for now. There's no other good way." Zhang Xiaobao knew that it was not because of the gas masks that changed their voices. It was their own psychological effect. He mentioned the matter of the eyes and turned to follow Wang Wan in the direction of the dock. He wanted to see how the renovation was going. It was indeed convenient to have cement. In the beginning, it was a bit difficult to mix the sand, but after a few tries, it was fine. The people only felt that the cement was magical, but they didn't think about how it was made. They were very happy there. The original things at the docks had been torn down and rebuilt. The same was true for the docks. With the cement, new methods could be used in the construction of the docks. For example, a sluice gate could be used. In the past, the ships were directly put into the water. Now, it was directly built in a designated pit on the land. This pit was made with cement. When the time came, water could be directly flushed in, and the ships would float. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan walked around and found that there was nothing wrong. It was almost dark, so they rode home together. Xiao Bao, now I'm thinking whether we should build 2 more kills. If there is only one, the supply will be too slow. When the time comes, we still have to build the city walls of Chang'an. Chang'an is such a big place, so how much cement will be used? Not to mention here, don't you want to build all the roads into cement? All the roads, this is a state. Including the seawall, it is estimated that even if we build 5 more kills, it won't be enough. Now the roads are not completely finished. It's really worrying. Wang Wan hugged Zhang Xiaobao behind and talked about building more cement kills. Zhang Xiaobao was also thinking about the same problem along the way. The burning of the cement was too slow. It was not easy to build one kiln after another. At this time, when he heard Wang Wan mention it, he said, "Then build more, but the strength of the guards will be less. They need to be concentrated. Also, there must be people from the inner courtyard. This technology may not be a big deal in our time, but it is a strategic thing here. The roads still need to be built. Even if they're done now, it won't affect the cement on them. The main thing is that we have too few people here. I don't know if we can get more people from other places. If we hope to have more children, it will take more than 10 years to grow up. I can't afford to wait." As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he thought about getting more people from other places. After all, he did not have enough people here. Although there were more than 20,000 people here, it was still not enough. Luzhou was a state. Although it was not a big state, it was still a state and not a county. In particular, Zhang Xiaobao wanted to build these roads to the surrounding states so that it would be convenient for people to come and go. The seawall could not be stopped. They did not lack money. What they lacked was labor. Now that the children were being asked to do things again, it was considered child labor. There was no other way. The two of them talked about the population of the surrounding states and returned home. They planned to discuss with Zhang Zhong and asked him to put up a notice to recruit people from other places. It was not very ethical to do this, but there was no other way. Just as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were worrying about the population problem, the more than 10,000 people from Qin province finally met with the people who were going to persuade them. When the two sides met, they could immediately see the difference. The first batch of people who came to Luzhou from Qin province were all in good health. Their clothes were also in good condition. If they did not know each other, nobody would have guessed that they were from Qin province. The difference between them was too big. On the other hand, the clothes of the people who came to Luzhou were patched up. Their faces were sallow, and they looked very pitiful. Some of them were so thin that they were only skin and bones. When the two sides met, they immediately had something to talk about. They asked each other and did not expect that they had the same purpose. With this, the people on Luzhou's side were relieved. They did not have to worry about not being able to persuade the people from Qin province. They could just bring these people back. The people of Qin province were also relieved. In the beginning, they were worried that Luzhou did not have enough food. Even if the good official wanted to keep them, he would not be able to do anything. Now that they heard that Luzhou did not lack anything, they did not have to worry about food anymore. Wang Wuzi, what do you think Luzhou has become? I remember that I went to Luzhou 20 years ago. So many years have passed in the blink of an eye. I didn't expect that I would have to leave my hometown when I'm old. However, this is good. At least there's a good official in Luzhou. I heard that he's paying you a salary and giving you food, but he's building roads for you. Isn't that right? In my opinion, you shouldn't ask for this salary. Why do you need money to build roads for yourself? Among the people from Qin province, an old man who was not very nimble but insisted on following them said to a young man on Luzhou's side, "Uncle Wang, it's true. The current Luzhou is not the same as before. It's so beautiful. The houses are all small buildings, and the courtyards are all rearing ducks and pigs. As for the salary you mentioned, it's true. We didn't want it, but the good official said that if we don't want it, we don't have to work. That's why we accepted it. However, we've already thought about it. We'll save up the money and wait for the good official's fleet to arrive. Then, we'll buy more goods. That way, the good official's family will be rich. Also, we've planted trees outside the place where the good official lives. The good official doesn't lack money, so we don't know how we can help. Now, everyone in his family is busy. Even the two children are not ordinary. They calculate the accounts so quickly. When they handle things, they're like adults. No, they're even better than adults. It seems like the officials are different. Even children can be like this. Uncle Wong, why didn't you come here by boat? There should be room on the boat, right? I didn't expect so many people to come all of a sudden. This is great. Before we came here, we've already discussed this. As long as we can bring 1,000 or 2,000 people back, we'll be able to help a lot. Now that we have so many people, Luzhou's construction will be even faster. In just a few years, every family in Luzhou will be wealthy. Wang Wuzi said to the old man kindly. He was very happy when he saw so many people coming. The mission was completed, and it was more than he expected. It didn't take much effort. When Uncle Wang heard Wang Wuzi talk about the future, a yearning look appeared on his face. He looked at the people who came to greet him, nodded, and said, I know. When I see you, I know there will be good days ahead. It's not that we want to come, but we have no choice. My village was struck by a calamity, but before anything happened in Qin province, Luzhou's men went there first. We know you're short of manpower. After the calamity, the province only gave you a little food. Perhaps the provincial governor was willing to give more, but he couldn't resist the help of his subordinates. It's impossible for us to wait for the next harvest. There's still a winter to go. What should we do? It just so happens that we can come to Luzhou with the food. So, we decided to come here. As for the boat, it's for people who can't walk. I'm still strong. If you don't believe me, you could draw a few strokes. I'll let the three of you fight me together. The old man was indeed eager to outdo others. He needed others to help him walk, but he still wanted to compete with others. Naturally, Wang Wuzi did not dare to compete with the old man. He nodded and said, Yes, Uncle Wang, you're right. Even 5 people can't compare with you, let alone 3. You're amazing. Sigh. I didn't expect the situation in Qin province to be so bad. Uncle Wang, don't worry. This kind of thing will never happen in Luzhou. The officials are all very easy to talk to. No one dares to interfere in this matter. A good official can't tolerate sand in his eyes. I know. If Luzhou's people can travel such a long distance to save us, how can Luzhou's people not save us? I've lived for so long, and I didn't expect that I can still think of fortune at such an old age. When we get there, I'll ask my son to work harder. We must build our home well. Yes, Luzhou will be our home in the future. The old man sighed with emotion. When the others heard the old man's words, they had the same thought. This time, they did not plan to go back. Even if they might go back in the future, they would not go back to live. They would go there to have a look or do business. Luzhou had already made them feel like home, even though they had not arrived yet. This was mainly because of Luzhou's more than 100 people and 2 ships. It would be a lie to say that they were not touched when they rushed over to rescue them from such a faraway place. They could only imagine what it would be like to live here in the future, since Luzhou had mobilized the most elite personnel to rescue them from such a faraway place. Grandpa Wang, when the time comes, your family can live next to mine. There is still a vacant house next to mine. When the time comes, I will tell you how to raise ducks and pigs. The method that the great official taught us is different from that of other places. The ducks and pigs grow faster. When next summer comes, you will be able to eat your own pork. Wang Wuzi said to the old man. When he talked about this, he felt very proud. Chapter 495. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. It was drizzling. Ning Zhongzi stood in front of the window and looked at the thin streaks of rain outside. He felt as if he was in a daze. The ground was not splashing with bubbles like it usually did in summer, and the rustling sound seemed to be never-ending. It will be the new year in a month's time. It should still be this lively this year, right? Ning Zhongzi muttered to himself. The wind blew in from outside, bringing with it a slight chill. Wei Wei shivered when it hit him. Ning Zhongzi opened the window wider and sat back in the chair. He stroked the delicate and smooth armrest of the chair with his hand. He did not know what to feel. Master, it's time for dinner. The housekeeper stood in the corridor outside and reminded him with a knock on the door. There's no hurry. Let them eat first. Come in, I want to ask you something. Ning Zhongzi had no intention of eating. He did not seem to be hungry. "Master, what do you want to know?" The housekeeper pushed the door open and came in. He stood respectfully beside Ning Zhongzi and asked softly, "Has Zhang Zhong of Luzhou done anything recently? I mean, did he send someone to persuade the locals to go to Luzhou?" Ning Zhongzi asked as he stroked the stray hair on his forehead that was messed up by the wind. "Master, no. Since more than 10,000 people went to Luzhou, only 5,000 people followed them. The rest of the people are still stable," the housekeeper said carefully. He deliberately made the matter of the 5,000 people who went to Luzhou in a calm manner. He knew that the master was in a bad mood now. The impeachment memorials had an effect. The imperial court did not continue to pursue the matter. The Ning family could be considered to have escaped this time. However, that was all. Zhang Zhong was fine. The imperial court did not send anyone to investigate. They did not even see an edict of reprimand, who said that the mountain was high and the emperor was far away. It seemed that the imperial court had long known about this matter. Zhang Zhong was safe and sound. The news he bought from the capital was that the emperor had suppressed all the memorials to impeach Zhang Zhong. Or rather, he kept them and did not send them out. He just stopped them at the secretariat, and no one from the Minxiao province could see them. This was bias. Under normal circumstances, the secretariat would make a proposal, the Minxiao province would make a decision, and the emperor would approve it. Then, the secretary would send the relevant people to investigate. It seemed that the entire imperial court approved of what Zhang Zhong had done here, and the reply to the master was not to correct. The Gale incident was also mentioned. However, the words "not to correct" had many meanings. It felt like the emperor was not going to pursue the losses caused by the gale, but the words "not to correct" were written in front. After the secretary sent out the memorials, they added the words of the secretariat and the Minxiao province, which meant that the gale was not something that could be resisted by humans. The emperor's reply was not that simple. It made sense not to correct the gale incident in Qin province, and it also made sense not to correct the Zhang Zhong incident. However, the most frightening thing was that the emperor did not want to pursue the malicious impeachment this time. If they really wanted to know what the emperor meant, they could write another impeachment memorial and send it to the emperor. Then, they would know what the emperor's reply was. However, would anyone dare to do so? What if it was the last meaning? If they went to impeach again, they would be corrected. Ning Zhongzi was extremely depressed because he thought of the last possibility. More than 15,000 commoners were gone, and they went to Luzhou to help fix things. If they were to calculate, the Ning family was wealthier than the Zhang Zhong family, and their influence was greater than the Zhang Zhong family as well. The main reason was that the Ning family had spent all their money on the stalls. This was the most unacceptable thing. The Ning family had been running the stalls for several generations, and they spent every bit they earned. Their stalls were bigger than the Zhang family. The problem was that although the Zhang family stalls were not comparable to the Ning families, the money they earned was dozens of times more than the Ning families, or even hundreds of times more than the Ning families. Zhang Zhong was always able to transfer a large amount of money from his side. He even had money to build the post house in Guangzhou and the canal for the imperial court. Nominally, it was not the Zhang Zhong and Wang families who were paying for it. Instead, it was under the name of the government. However, the imperial court did not release any notice to claim credit for such things. The commoners did not know about it, but how could the imperial court not know about it? How could the emperor not know about it? 110,000 strings of cash. The Zhang family gave it to him without asking for anything. It was no wonder that the emperor would suppress the impeachment petition against Zhang Zhong. The total amount of money Lu Zhou paid in rent last year was only about 10,000 strings of cash, less than 20,000 strings of cash. He had paid less than 30,000 strings of cash in this province, including the conversion of the local tribute. Those who dared to spend money were indeed protected. Since the emperor had received benefits this time, it was only natural that the emperor would protect him. This matter was puzzling. What benefits could Zhang Zhong get from the canal? What benefits could make him earn 110,000 strings of cash? Treacherous official. Zhang Zhong was a treacherous official. He gave sofas to some officials over there and cement to build pavilions and flower beds. He was clearly a villain. Which gentleman would do such a despicable thing? Bah! Wasn't it just some furniture? He did not need them tomorrow. He did not need the chair, nor did he need the foldable table. He did not see what was so good about them. Ning Zhong's hand was still touching the armrest of the chair. In his heart, he criticized the set of furniture that Lu Zhou gave for free again and again. What a piece of junk. Just by sitting on the chair for a long time, his butt would be damp and wet. He even added a cotton pad. It would be the same if he sat on the futon. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Ning Zhongze slapped the armrest and said to the butler, "Tomorrow, put all these things sent by Lu Zhou in the living room. Using them for a long time will make one tired. Don't use them in the study." "Yes, master." "Shall we also send the two-story bed that the young master usually sleeps onto the living room?" The butler nodded and asked again. He was afraid that the old master would order everyone to put the things Lu Zhou sent to the living room. Therefore, he received one himself. It was a riveted leather table. He did not know how it was made, but it looked very comfortable. Especially the drawer, it could be pulled out with just a pull. There was also a chair that came with the table. It could be turned back and forth. There was a buckskin surface, a mahogany shelf, and two kinds of cushions made of cotton and bamboo. It was really distressing to take them out. Ning Zhongze also knew that these things were comfortable to use, but he did not feel comfortable in his heart. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Just move the study over. Don't touch the other things. After all, they are sent by Lu Zhou. Even if it is awkward to use them, we have to give Zhong some face." "Yes, master is benevolent and righteous. You even gave Zhong some face." The butler was relieved. "Well, if there's nothing else, let's go eat." Ning Zhongze knew very well the thoughts of the people who received these furniture, who did not like to use good things. Moreover, these things were very valuable. Even the chair he was sitting on could not be bought without at least 80 strings of cash. These things came as a set. You can't just buy one, can you? According to the calculation of the same level, it was impossible to buy a study room without at least 500 strings of coins. After buying this, there was also a complimentary tea set. After buying the tea set and tea leaves, if one wanted to be more presentable, 1,000 strings of coins would be enough to decorate a study room. How much was the cost? How much could the Zhang family make from this? Even if Ning Zhongze was full of hostility toward the Zhang family, he could not help but admire their means of making money. There were people who lived in thatched houses, but not many. Why would they live in such houses? Wasn't it because they did not have the ability to make money? Even his family could do this, let alone those who had no conflict with Zhong. The butler did not care what the master was thinking. As long as he did not take out the things he received, it was fine. He agreed and left. Ning Zhongze touched the armrest of the chair with great reluctance. The longer the mahogany was used, the deeper the color, and the more beautiful it looked. Listening to the sound of rain outside, he took a deep breath. Before he could exhale, the housekeeper who had just left came back with a letter in his hand. "Master, there is news from the capital." "Master, please take a look." The butler, Wei Wei, lowered his head. His back was not as straight as before. He looked up at the master, afraid that the master would suddenly change his mind and continue to send the things to the living room. Ning Zhongze did not think too much. He took the letter and read it carefully. There was no trace of it being opened. He opened it bit by bit and read it from top to bottom, right to left. As he read, he lost his spirit. He leaned back in the chair and threw the letter at the butler, asking, "Do you know what cement is?" The butler managed to catch the letter before it fell to the ground. Before he could read it, he immediately said, "I heard that it was made by Lu Zhou. It seems that it can be used to build roads and seawalls." Lu Zhou is now buying iron wire, ironware, steel wire, and steel from various places at a high price. I don't know what they're used for. Just read the letter and you will know. Another profitable business has come out. Send someone to find out. No matter what, we have to know how the cement is made. With this, the Ning family won't have to hide in Qinzhou anymore. Ning Zhongze gasped for breath as he looked at the rain outside the window. Chapter 496. The new year was coming for Lu Zhou. To be more precise, it was the new year of Great Tang. The Zhang family and the Wang family planned to spend the new year outside. In a few days, a batch of ships would arrive from the capital. The ships would carry all kinds of goods that might be useful during the new year, as well as some gift for merchants who work with the Zhang family, the Wang family, and Li Sun. The people from the Yellow River Shipping Company were also here. They were not invited by the Jingshui Shipping Company, but by someone who had gathered information. It was said that the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company already knew that there was a movement here, so they followed behind and prepared to carry out the plan. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang had already received this information in advance. The two of them felt that it was a little funny, but they also felt a little helpless. People were really crazy about money. No matter what kind of plan they had, they dared to use it. The person who ran away from the Jingshui Ship Company was actually able to contact the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company. Today, the two of them wore an extra layer of clothes and stood on the partially repaired pier, enjoying the sea breeze. Li Sun followed behind them, thinking about his own matters. Xiaobao, since the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company are here, shouldn't we teach them a lesson? This time, we've made some profit from their first scraps. Why don't we help them and let them suffer a big loss? They won't follow the plan, otherwise the Yellow River will be greatly affected. Wan's heart softened a little. Even if she could send her own ship to help those shipwrights after the Yellow River Shipping Company lost money, the handover process would also have some impact on the local economy. She didn't want to cause too much turbulence. Zhang Xiaobao had also considered such a thing. Any development would always be mixed with something that many people would not think about, and that was the loss in the process. This loss might not affect many people, but the real victims could only bear it themselves. Back then, he had come up with that plan in order to deceive the people of the Clear Waterboat Company. However, the people of the Clear Waterboat Company were too stupid. They weren't as smart as he had imagined. This had saved him a lot of trouble and had also brought the operation forward by a few days. Zhang Xiaobao was not the kind of person who would suppress others in the same industry just to make money. He thought for a while and said, "All right, if the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company have a good attitude, let them suffer a big loss the first time they come here. Let them reformulate their own plans. There's so much wealth in the sea, we don't have to worry about them stealing any business. If they are sensible, perhaps we can join forces with them and earn more money together. That way, we can use the ships we bought to do other things." What if their attitude isn't good? Wang understood the most important meaning in Zhang Xiaobao's words. "Then don't blame us for being merciless," Zhang Xiaobao replied swiftly. "Is your family going to make a move against the Yellow River Shipping Company?" Li Sun, who was following behind them, heard the conversation between the two people and stepped forward to ask. "I don't know. It depends on the purpose of the Yellow River Shipping Company's visit. If they just want to seek cooperation, then it's fine. If they want to suppress our family, then we can't just wait for them to do that." Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company were too greedy. If that was the case, they might maliciously compete with him. Li Sun didn't know what kind of conflict there would be between the two parties. Anyway, he only knew that the other side would act according to the fake plan provided by the Zhang family. When he thought of that plan, Li Sun asked again, "Xiaobao, do you think the fur edges they brought will be useful? If they really stick to the plan and use fish glue and other things, how will it sell? Then they will lose a lot of money. Fish glue and other things can be used to make more money. Do you think it's that easy to make fish glue? It's impossible, but there are follow-up plans. Actually, those things can be somewhat useful. It's true for us, but it's not clear for others." When Zhang Xiaobao thought that he would be able to see a ship's worth of fur edges in a few days, he had a new idea. The three of them strolled around, checked the construction situation here, and then turned back. At this time, the construction here was almost done. Most of the roads leading to other places where people lived had been repaired, but the roads in places where people didn't live further away still needed to be repaired. Of the more than 15,000 new people who joined, apart from the 10,000 people who were divided into several counties, the remaining 5,000 people formed their own county. Zhang Zhong had already written a memorial to report to the imperial court and asked for a name. This was a good thing, and he believed that the imperial court wouldn't refuse. In fact, having an additional county meant having an additional area to pay rent and tax, as well as having more tributes. Because of the disaster this year, various taxes and tributes could be exempted for half a year. From a long-term perspective, it was better to have an additional county. Of course, with more people here, there would be less people in Qinzhou. When Qinzhou started paying rent and tax in the second half of next year, there would be a lot of pressure. Old Man Pai and Old Man Chang were also discussing this matter. The two of them were now very good at billiards. At least in this nursing home, they were the two leaders. Ordinary people couldn't beat them. Old Man Pai, those teachers of yours didn't teach the children immediately after they came here. Is it not good to let them eat and live for free? Also, there's so many people here. Don't the higher-ups care? Old Man Chang hit a shot. The ball swayed twice in the very large pocket and stopped. In the end, it didn't go in. He looked at Old Man Pai and saw that there were only 2 balls left. He was anxious and began to talk about things that could make Old Man Pai worry. He hoped that he could make Old Man Pai miss as well. Old Man Pai did not care about this matter at all. He was thinking about how he should play the second ball when he heard Old Man Zhang's words. I don't want them to teach the children now, because I'm afraid they will teach the children some of the bad habits they had in the past. Let them stay here and watch, listen, and think. When the time comes, I will personally test them. Those who are compatible with the way of thinking here will stay, and those who are not will be given a program and let them leave. When teaching and educating people, we can't just look at the knowledge of the teachers. We also have to look at their moral character. Good teachers are fine, but what if a bad teacher leads the children astray? I'd rather not find so many people than to find a random person to teach. As for the people running to Luzhou, there's no need to worry. The emperor won't say anything. After all, no matter which province they are in, they're all citizens of Tang. I think the emperor really wants more people to come. It's not like we don't know the ability of the Zhang family. As long as there are more people, they can earn more money. Even though some of the officials in the imperial court, scholars, and aristocratic families always said that farmers were expensive and merchants were cheap, if they really wanted to do something, they couldn't do without merchants. How many people in aristocratic families didn't do a lot of business outside? If they stay in Qin province, do you think Qin province has the ability to earn so much money like the Zhang family? Not only do they earn money, but they also produce a lot of food, fish, and other things. In addition, the Zhang family can make the people live a better life. The imperial court will be very happy to see this situation. As he spoke, Old Man Pai hit his club. A globe fell into the bag. He started to calculate another globe. This time, he didn't use enough strength. When it bounced back, it didn't reach the designated position. It seemed like it wouldn't be easy to hit it. Old Man Chang was old now, so he could talk to Bai Go like this. Otherwise, based on his status, he couldn't compare to Bai Go. Besides, his master didn't have such a high official position. He had experienced a lot, but he didn't know things as well as Bai Go. After hearing Old Man Bai's words, he didn't think about whether or not he could win this round. He thought about it carefully and remembered Old Man Bai's words. He said, "Old Man Bai, you're really capable." That's true. If I had been the steward at Master's place in the past, I would have assigned the more capable ones to him when he went out to do things. Since the Zhang family is so capable, they should be given more power. Thinking about it, the more than 36,000 people in the Zhang family's hands, they could do more than 100,000 people in other places. Look at the enthusiasm of the people now. Why do you think this is? As Old Man Chang spoke, he secretly moved the flower ball on his side to a better position. His eyes were fixed on Old Man Pai, afraid that he would find out. The main reason was that Old Man Pai hit the ball on the second shot just now, so he had hope again. Old Man Pai couldn't tolerate sand in his eyes. When he saw that Old Man Chang dared to act shamelessly, he immediately said, "Put that ball back. Can you still play? If you don't play this round, you lose." Yes, yes. The wind blew. I just saw it. It moved. Old Man Chang didn't feel embarrassed at all. Maybe it was because he had been trained. He moved the ball back and found a random reason. After he put the ball back, Old Man Pai said, "It doesn't matter how many people there are. What's important is how to organize them to work. The current Luzhou is different from other places. Other places let the people do what they want to do. Do you know why? It's because those local officials don't have the ability to know if they can do something well in the end. If they can't do it well, they will organize the people to do it. In the end, the people's lives will be worse. They don't have the ability, the courage, and the ability to organize. Naturally, they won't dare to be like the Zhang family and arrange every single person to do something. When Old Man Pai said this, his heart was filled with emotions. In fact, this wasn't the first time he had this kind of feeling. The two experts from the Zhang family, who had been missing for a long time, seemed to have a special ability. No matter how many people were ordered to do something, they could do it well. Old Man Chang was enlightened. He nodded and said, "Yes, yes, yes, that's it. The Zhang family can predict what will happen in the future. Their guesses are very accurate. Also, the Zhang family's command and dispatch are very good. In terms of money, they don't lack a single penny. The arrangement of the people is also able to make use of everyone's strengths. There are more than 36,000 people, and they actually arrange for everyone. I don't know how they did it. If it were me, I would be confused if there were more than 360 people, let alone 36,000 people, especially when they can even arrange things for the children. They are really meticulous. This is the work of the two experts from the Zhang family, who have hidden themselves so that no one can find them. Right? It's really like what some people said. They take every conceivable possibility into account. It's a pity that we can't meet them, and we don't dare to force them. Otherwise, if we can't find them and let them leave the Zhang family and go to another country, we will be sinners. In fact, Old Man Chang had wanted to meet the two experts from the Zhang family for a long time. He had even mentioned it twice, but they didn't give him the opportunity. He couldn't think of any good ideas. He also didn't dare to use any threatening means. It was easy to get into trouble. When Old Man Pai heard that he couldn't meet the two experts, he felt annoyed. Recently, he found that the people in charge of coordinating and dispatching were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He didn't expect that the two children were the two experts. However, from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's dispatching, he found that the two people seemed to be more powerful than before. Being able to oversee a region made him look forward to meeting the two experts who taught Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan more and more. After teaching for a few years, the disciples were already so powerful, let alone the masters. It would be best to meet them, have a chat, and learn something from them. Unfortunately, those two people couldn't be found. Even when everyone hid in the mountains, he sent people to observe them one by one, but they couldn't find out which one was the expert. With something on his mind, he wasn't as accurate as before. This gave Old Man Chang a chance. Old Man Pai just picked up the ball that was pasted on the table. Old Man Chang seized the opportunity and scored 3 goals in a row. There were 4 left on the table. It seemed that there was hope. With a bang, Old Man Chang scored another goal. He happily continued to look for the next ball. He said to Old Man Pai, "The cement stuff is already out. Put some stones and iron wires inside. I saw it. It's very strong. We don't have to worry about it falling down if we use it to build a house. If we build a city wall, as long as the people guarding the city aren't tricked into going out to meet the enemy, and as long as there are enough provisions and people in the city, we don't have to worry about it, no matter how the enemy attacks. Should we transfer some people over to guard the city? Otherwise, if someone else gets the recipe and uses it to deal with us, it will be troublesome. Transfer people? That's not necessary. Do you really think it's that easy to get? Normal people can't even think about getting the recipe. Just look at the Zhang family and Wang family. The people they used to do this are all from the inner courtyard. Moreover, they are not alone. Whether it's going to work or going to work, there will always be people guarding by the side. Since the Zhang clan made this thing, they would naturally understand the use of this thing. How could they not value it? In addition, with the trust of the people here towards Zhang, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for an ordinary person to obtain the recipe. Old Man Pai wasn't worried about this. If the people who were transferred over were bribed, it would be the biggest hidden danger. Didn't you see that the Zhang family didn't even use the Wang family's guards? They were afraid that someone would know the recipe and be bribed. The two of them talked and played. As they talked, their minds were no longer on the game. At this time, Chao Hui and the other two also received a letter from Qinzhou. The letter first talked about some trivial matters. In the end, it pointed out that the three of them should think of a way to get the cement recipe. The two of you, Tang, governor of Ning, has given us a task. He wants the three of us to get the recipe from the Zhang family. It's the cement for building things. Tell me what to do. Chao Hui found Fan Jinshi and Jiang Huanshi. The three of them sat in the courtyard and drank. They didn't seem to be very comfortable drinking. The main reason was that this task was too difficult to complete. The Zhang family firmly controlled the place where the kiln was burned. They didn't allow outsiders to get close to it. The surrounding area was very empty, making it impossible for people to hide. Jiang Huanshi drank a mouthful of wine to drown her sorrows. She tapped her chopsticks lightly on the plate and said, "I think we can find out what kind of things they usually bring into the courtyard. As long as we know what it is, it's easy to do. We already know how to make it." Judging from the smoke coming out of the courtyard, they used the burning method to make the cement. Since we can't get into the courtyard, we can start from their raw materials. With so much cement, how can I not keep buying raw materials from outside? I've already arranged for people to go there and follow the car that they use to transport the cement. As long as we find the place, we will know what they use to make the cement. Fan Jinshi heard this and shook her head. I've also thought about this, but it won't work. Just like their fireworks and firecrackers, we know that they are made of saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal. But no matter how hard we try, we can't make the things they do. Especially the fireworks. The things inside are actually very small balls. Tang, governor of Ning, also knows the recipe of the fireworks and is looking for someone to make it. We'll wait and see if he can make it. If he can, we'll tell him about the raw materials that the Zhang family sends back and forth to make the cement. The other two also knew that it was not easy to learn other people's things. The key to these raw materials that needed to be made was the recipe. Yes, we only know that the raw materials are useless, especially the small balls and the fireworks. We had people take them apart and look at them carefully. They are indeed the three things, but how do we make them into balls? The firecrackers we learned to make will make a puff sound once they are ignited, and there will be nothing but smoke. No one dares to try to make them into balls. The last time we tried, those things all disappeared with a puff, and we were also injured. We just want to use these things to rub the three things together and hope that Tang, governor of Ning, can make some progress. The most worrying thing is that when the Zhang family brings in the raw materials that can be used to make cement from outside, they deliberately put in a lot of other things so that we can't tell what is used to make the cement. Chao Hui picked up a piece of fried leek with his chopsticks and put it into his mouth. He said while chewing. Seeing that the other two people were thinking about something, he said, "In fact, the most worrying thing is not whether we can get the recipe. Even if we can't get it, I think that Tang, governor of Ning, will not make things difficult for us. After all, the recipe is not easy to get. The most worrying thing is that once Zhang Zhong knows that we want to get the recipe, he will not let us off like he is now. He has a good reason, and that is the goods that we don't know where they are now. Even if they have received that batch of goods, they just said that they did not receive it and pushed the blame to us. Do you think that we can still be good?" When Fan Jinshi and Chao Hui heard this, they remembered that the three of them were still living in fear. If Zhang Zhong really found out, it seemed that they would be in big trouble. The more they thought about it, the more they felt that this was the case. Jiang Huanshi shivered, stood up, and walked to his yard. At the same time, he said to the other two people, "No, I have to tell the people that I sent to make sure that they don't give us away. If they're caught by Zhang Zhong, what good will it do?" As he spoke, his figure disappeared from the yard. The other two people did not send people out, so they were not worried. When Jiang Huanshi came back, they sat there and drank. "Master, shouldn't we ask them to stop and roll those things into balls? What if they accidentally explode?" In the Ning mansion in Qinzhou, the housekeeper was talking to Ning Zhongzi. The family already knew the recipe of the firecrackers, which were three things. There seemed to be something special in the fireworks, but they still didn't know. In order to make the same thing, the Ning family had started to try again and again. However, those things would burn at the same time as long as they were touched by a little spark, and they burned very quickly. When Ning Zhongzi was about to say that he could also make something that the Zhang family could make, and he knew the recipe. He heard a boom. Judging from the sound, it came from the place where the firecrackers were made. The two people immediately became nervous. Let's go. Let's see what happened. Ning Zhongzi looked at the rising smoke and walked over. The housekeeper was also shocked. He didn't know what was going on. After passing through a courtyard gate, the two of them arrived at their destination. As the wind blew, a pungent stench wafted over, causing their hearts to tighten. After walking forward and turning a corner, the two of them saw traces of something being burned by fire. In addition to this, there were a few people lying there, crying in pain. What happened? Ning Zhongzi saw that the people lying on the ground were still in pain. Only then did he feel relieved. Master, some of the things used to make the firecrackers were broken. Our people were rolling the balls with all their strength, and we don't know what happened. With a boom, everything was blown up. Fortunately, that person didn't have so much gunpowder with him. Fortunately, only a few people were injured, but no one died. A person who was lying on the ground stood up and looked at the people around him and the few people who were still lying on the ground. Was that thing made? It seems that the Zhang family must have put something that some people weren't proud of in the gunpowder. Okay, we know what happened. Go and recuperate first. Find someone else to do the work here. Chapter 497. While other people were thinking about getting some prescriptions, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were preparing for the Lunar New Year at home. This was the first time that the two of them were celebrating the Lunar New Year outside. Huaiyuan County was not counted. After all, it was not far from Sanshui County and was very close to each other. The customs of celebrating the Lunar New Year in the Tang Empire were a little different from place to place, but the differences were not too big. Some of the customs were slowly developed later. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wanted to build a large stage for more than 30,000 people to celebrate the Lunar New Year together. They could take this opportunity to make the local people support Zhang more. Then this money could only be paid by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. To be precise, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had to pay for it. It was not a small sum of money, and it also included some red packets that had to be given. Xiaobao, where do you think we should arrange for the Lunar New Year together? Shouldn't it be in a place that is not far from each other? It just so happens that the people of the several counties can go there. It will take a few days to walk there. After all, it is not like when they worked together in the past, where they could just casually organize it. Now there are many stalls, and there are people working in various places. We can't let them walk for half a month during the Lunar New Year. From the farthest place to the other side, it will take at least half a month to walk. Then it will not be a Lunar New Year, but a torture. It is a pity that there is no television now. Otherwise, no matter how far away they are, they can watch the program. Wang Wan followed beside Zhang Xiaobao. The two of them walked around in the courtyard, thinking about how to celebrate the Lunar New Year. Zhang Xiaobao was also thinking that it would be better if things were like in the past. Everyone worked in the same place, so he could just call them over, and those people would come over. Now that he had a house, and everyone's situation was different, it would be impossible to continue learning the method of going up the mountain. After walking a few more steps, Zhang Xiaobao stopped and said to Wang Wan, "Since we can't gather everyone together to celebrate the New Year, then we'll let everyone live their own lives. Every county should organize a New Year activity. Let's teach them some methods, and let them find someone to learn the crosstalk or skit. Let's think of some local songs and dances. The main thing is to have fun. Let's make some small games and let everyone participate. We'll also take care of firecrackers, dumplings, and new clothes. When the time comes, my father will stay here. You and I will go to one place, and your father will go to another place. Then we'll find people from the inner yard to go to other places." Zhang Xiaobao actually wanted to celebrate the New Year with his family, but looking at the current situation, this idea could not be achieved. He could only disperse the people and let the people here feel the goodwill of the government. After Wang Wan heard this, she shook her head. "I'm not going. I want to be with my family. Aren't there still so many people from the inner yard? Let them represent us. I will stay in Ulei County and celebrate the New Year with the people here." Zhang Xiaobao saw that Wang Wan did not agree, and he happened to have the same idea, So he agreed, "That's fine. But we will all be from the inner yard, so the effect will not achieve the original goal. After all, if we personally go somewhere, our identities will be different." How can not be good? The commoners won't think so much. As long as we give them those clothes and things, they won't care who goes there. They could just send someone to represent the government. Since there's still time, let your father deliver these things one by one. You don't have to deliver everything to the commoners. When your father goes there and brings the things, the commoners will know what it means. Now that those officials are honest, we don't have to worry about people being greedy when giving out things. When the time comes, give more things to the officials, and they will be happy to do things well. In fact, Wang Wan had always been very unfamiliar with this place. This kind of unfamiliarity was mental. Even though she was able to arrange the people here very well, she always felt that they were not from the same place. If the family members left during the new year, they would feel very lonely. That's it then. When the time comes, remember to organize the gifts properly. Don't send too many spiritual gifts. The main thing is to send things that can help in daily life. Let's go back and get a list. We'll see what we need. Zhang Xiaobao followed and pulled Wang Wan into the house to write the list. Although there would be a lot of things to take out for the new year this year, these things were worth it to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When the time came, the people in the surrounding provinces would also know about this matter. Perhaps the people would come. In that case, there would be more people in Luzhou. In this era, where production tools were not so developed, people were the best productivity. When they left this place, the people here could provide a lot of money to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan every year. This did not mean that the people would directly give them money. Instead, when the various chambers of commerce operated, the more people there were, the richer they would be, and the higher the output of the chambers of commerce would be. While the two of them were busy preparing for the new year, the others were thinking about the new year as well. This was especially true for the places that were affected by the disaster. Although they had obtained the items from the imperial court, the difference in their speed of recovery was like heaven and earth compared to Luzhou. The officials of these provinces were not fools. They knew that if they could win the hearts of the people during the new year and let the people have a good new year, it would be good for the future. They had learned about Zhang Zhong from their own channels. In the past, he would spend the new year with the people, and the Zhang family would pay to buy some new year goods for the people. They thought that this was a good idea, but they did not have that much money. In the end, they thought of a solution at the same time, which was to let the local merchants pay for the new year goods. After buying the new year goods for the people, they could still keep a part of the money. Those merchants did not know that the lords of the provinces had their eyes on them. They were still doing business with Luzhou. At the same time, they applied to join Luzhou's chambers of commerce. This required negotiation. They wanted to join directly. They did not need to take any money, and they did not need to be strictly controlled by the chambers of commerce. In other words, these merchants from the other provinces wanted to reach some kind of unrestricted cooperation with Luzhou's chambers of commerce. Zhang Xiaobao knew about this. Naturally, he did not want to do it. This was clearly a threat made by the chambers of commerce because they could control the trade activities around Luzhou. In the beginning, they meant that if they cooperated, Luzhou would have to give them a part of the goods shipped from Luzhou at a lower price. At the same time, Luzhou's chambers of commerce would not casually trade with them. If they wanted to trade, they would have to go through them first. If they did not agree, they would block Luzhou's trade to various places so that Luzhou's goods could not be sold. This blockade was not only to block the roads, but they did not dare to do so. They were targeting Luzhou. They would join forces and not sell or buy anything from Luzhou. They felt that they had the ability to do so. As long as they joined forces, it would be difficult for Luzhou to do business with them. For example, if they had good goods to buy, they could raise the price of such goods first. After all, they were in an alliance, and they would not lose money. Even if the people wanted to sell their goods to Luzhou, they would have to consider if they still wanted to buy from these merchants in the future. Their plan was not bad. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also willing to cooperate, but they definitely did not want to cooperate under such circumstances. The two of them proposed a new idea. The merchants outside were willing to join the Chamber of Commerce. but the price of the goods had to be fixed according to the price set by the Chamber of Commerce. They were not allowed to raise or lower the price at will. If there was anything they needed, they could apply to the Chamber of Commerce separately. They could not decide on their own before applying. Another point was that these merchants would have to pay 2 sets of money to join. One was the entrance fee, which was fixed and collected according to the scale of each merchant. The more they paid, the higher the proportion of the goods they received from other places. The lowest fee would be 100 strings of coins. If the fee was less than 100 strings of coins, it meant that the scale was not good enough, and the Zhang family would not cooperate. The 100 strings of coins, or more, could not be taken back. Only the Zhang family's Chamber of Commerce would get it. The other sum of money was a deposit. In order to prevent some people from disobeying the rules and secretly selling goods or raising or lowering the price, they would need to pay a deposit. If they did not abide by the rules, the deposit would not be returned. Similarly, they would collect according to the scale of each merchant. In addition to this, they would also ask the merchants outside to make an additional guarantee. In terms of sales, it was impossible to give them as many goods as they wanted. What if they could not sell them? What if they deliberately took all the goods and held back the goods? In the end, it would affect Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce. The benefits given by the Zhang family's Chamber of Commerce was to help them advertise, including their local advertising. This money would be paid by the Chamber of Commerce. Of course, if they wanted to increase sales, they could advertise themselves. If they sold more goods or bought more goods that the Chamber of Commerce needed, there would be additional rewards. The merchants had to admit that this method was very good to control the people who joined. However, they just did not want to be restricted like this. Therefore, they were still negotiating with Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had also thought of a way to deal with this matter. That was, they would attack them one by one. As long as there was a compromise, it would be a good way. This method was very useful. They would find some merchants who were not very strong and let them get the benefits first. After that, they would tear open the gap, and the other merchants would have no choice but to compromise. Naturally, they would not get the same benefits as the previous merchants. When Zhang Xiaobao was about to make a move, he was stopped by Wang Wan. Wang Wan felt that they should wait a little longer. If they used such a method now, those merchants would turn against each other. If there was a vicious competition between them, not only would they cause losses to themselves, but even the local economy would be affected. Of course, this vicious competition would benefit the people and the various chambers of commerce of the Zhang family. However, it would have a negative effect on the development of the entire region in the future. Only then did Zhang Xiaobao stop. Otherwise, with his methods, he would be able to gain a lot of benefits after stirring up trouble here. However, at this moment, the surrounding officials of the provincial capitals stepped in. They wanted to learn from Zhang Zhong and win the hearts of the people, but they did not have that much money. Therefore, they reached out to these local merchants. The local merchants had just recovered recently. They relied on the goods shipped by Lu Zhou. They did not buy the goods and sell them locally. Instead, they sold them to the nearby provinces that were not affected by the disaster. That way, they could earn some money. After all, Lu Zhou sold them the goods at a high price. Fortunately, Lu Zhou did not go to the extremes. Otherwise, after selling the goods to them, he would sell the remaining goods to them at a lower price. They would not be able to bear the same price as they would have to pay for the transportation fee. After all, they would not be able to bear the cost of selling the goods at the same price. When the local area was affected by the disaster, their business was greatly affected. Now that they had earned some money with great difficulty and survived the crisis, they were invited by the officials to have a meal. The provincial capital of Lianzhou City, the provincial governor of Lianzhou City, personally came to accompany these merchants. If it was during normal times or when there was no disaster, these merchants would be very happy when the officials came to look for them. They would even be willing to give the officials some money. At that time, there might be benefits waiting for them. However, the local area was still recovering. What benefits could there be? It was almost the new year. When the merchants heard about this and received the invitation, they were scared. They guessed that it was not a good thing. Otherwise, why would the provincial governor of a province send them an invitation? It wasn't a big deal for some of the more powerful people to receive the invitation. The invitation looked pretty good, so the cost of making it wouldn't be low. The problem was that some of the small businessmen who usually did business also received the invitation. What was the meaning of this? Small merchants could not afford to work with the officials. If that was the case, why did they also invite them? The merchants did not understand, but they did not dare to not go. They could only instruct their families and go personally. When they arrived, this should be the entrance of the most expensive restaurant. Unexpectedly, Governor Fong personally stood there to welcome them. Such generous treatment made the merchants even more worried. As the merchants entered one by one, Governor Fong counted all of them. After confirming that all of them were present, he also followed them upstairs. In order to make it more convenient for them to stay together, more than 100 merchants were arranged in adjacent rooms. Those with screens would be removed. Those with walls would have to be removed. Those with walls would also have to be removed. The place suddenly became big. More than 100 merchants sat there anxiously, waiting for Governor Fong's arrangement. They had already thought about it. If Governor Fong asked for money, they would take less and give it to him directly. They would let Governor Fong have a good new year. Everyone, this official is fortunate to have gathered with all of you today. Alas, this is really rare. It seems that this is the first time since this official took office. It doesn't matter. We will gather more in the future. After all, there is always a first time. Regardless of whether you are from far or near, you have already given this official face by coming here. Let me propose a toast to all of you first. Seeing that everyone was here, Governor Fong put down his arrogance as he picked up his glass and started to say something. Hearing his words, all the others followed him and said that they should toast to Governor Fong. Soon after that, they all drank up their glasses of wine. Everyone continued to wait for Governor Fong's next words. They did not believe that Governor Fong, who is usually very difficult to meet, would not have any requests for them at this time. Everyone, the flood a few months ago really made the local people suffer a lot. I think all of you have a deep understanding of it. People are the root. Without those people, you will not be able to do business well. Am I right? Governor Fong didn't wait for the others to eat before he stood up with a cup of wine. Seeing the others nod, he continued, "Here, I want to thank you all. It is because you put in so much effort to buy and sell things from the outside, and it is also because you sold local things that this place gradually recovered. At this time, I would like to propose a toast to you all. Without you, there would be no prosperity in Lianzhou." After saying this, Governor Fong drained his cup. Of course, the other merchants did not dare to not drink. Hearing Governor Fong's praise, they became more scared. If an official could say such words, what price would they have to pay? After Governor Fong finished drinking, he sat down again and prepared to eat some dishes. A clever merchant immediately stood up and said to Governor Fong, "Lord Fong, in fact, Lianzhou province could survive because of Lord Fong's contribution. Without Lord Fong's arrangement, how could those people know what to do? How could we, who do small business, earn money? I don't know about the money I've earned these days, but I've managed to recoup my losses. This is all thanks to you, my lord. In a few months, when I've earned more, I'll definitely repay you, my lord." What he meant was that he didn't have any money now. He had just earned a capital, so if he wanted money, he should wait for another 2 months. The other merchants also followed suit. They mainly praised Governor Fong and mentioned that they didn't have any money. Since Governor Fong could sit in this position, how could he not know what these merchants were thinking? When he saw someone taking the lead to complain about being poor, he looked at that person and did not say anything. He looked at that person until he was sweating. Then, he said with a smile, "Boss Zhang, right? I've heard that you're dealing in grain. You got a lot of good grains from Luzhou and sold them to other places. You bought some poor grains for the local people. You did a good job. Otherwise, the people might have starved to death. You've made a great contribution. I must reward you well." Well, good. Who said that merchants do not care about the lives of the people? I don't think so. At the very least, Boss Zhang is able to think of the common people in times of disaster. How rare. The common people will definitely remember you. There are a few others who are the same. I will write a notice in a while to let the common people know who is helping them behind the scenes. Don't worry, this official knows that your family can be considered big. This official won't take your money. That's right. I won't use this money to seek benefits for myself. Although this official's family isn't very rich, we can still take out 100 strings of coins. Today, this official has brought 100 strings of coins. It's not for you. I want to use this money for the people to celebrate the new year. It has been a year, but there is a disaster. The people have not had it easy. Don't you think so? Now, it will be difficult to count on the people to celebrate the new year with their own abilities. Therefore, I thought about it. Do you want to know what I am thinking? Governor Fong stopped talking. He asked someone to bring the 100 strings of coins over and put it aside. Then, he looked at the merchants and asked, "What are you thinking about, my lord? Do you want us, who do small business, to help transport some goods?" "My lord, don't worry. Even if the goods are not available locally, as long as the people need them, we will help you buy them. As for the price, it can't be too expensive. If it really can't be done, we will charge you." At this time, Zhang Dongjia had no choice but to speak up. After all, he was the one who spoke just now. When he saw Governor Fong looking at him again, he immediately spoke up. "That's not true. That's not true. You're only thinking of one aspect. Indeed, this time, we need you to transport things over, especially some goods that are not available locally. You have to help transport them. This official thinks that since you can help the people get through this, you will definitely be able to let the people have a good year. I know that 100 strings of coins is actually not a small amount. However, if this money is used to celebrate the new year, it is far from enough. You know Lu Zhou's provincial governor Zhang, right? Many merchants on his side have banded together and are willing to fork out money to buy New Year goods for the people. I was worried about this matter, but now I don't have to worry about it anymore, because I found that all of you here are more benevolent than the merchants on Lu Zhou's side. Now that they are willing to band together to fork out money, I think you will do better than them. This is the will of the people. You're all good people and should be loved and respected by the people. That's all. I know that you have been looking for opportunities to do more things for the people, but you haven't found any. It's all thanks to Lu Zhou. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought of such a good way to fulfill your wish of doing good things for the people and at the same time, help the people have a good new year. Come, let's have another toast for this new year. Let's make the people happy and let everyone and me rest assured. Drink. After drinking this cup of wine, you can tell how much money you are willing to fork out. Look at me, a person who doesn't do business. I can only fork out 100 strings of coins. I am ashamed. As soon as he finished speaking, Provincial Governor Fong drank the wine. The other merchants were dumbfounded. They hadn't said anything yet, so why did they have to fork out money? No wonder Sir said that he didn't want money. They thought that he really didn't need to fork out money this time. Now, they understood that it was not that they didn't need to fork out money, but they had to fork out more. At least 100 strings of coins. If they were to fork out less, they would not be able to compete with Sir who didn't have money. Chapter 498. The merchants really did not want to take out this sum of money. Although Governor Fong said that he would not take it, if they really took it out and gave it to him, who could guarantee that he would not take it? If he really wanted money from them, giving him 100 strings of coins per person was not a big deal. At the very least, they would get a good deal. Even if they gave him the money now, he wouldn't be the one taking it. Naturally, he wouldn't help them in the future. When the time came, if they really wanted to mention this matter, the Lord would definitely say that their money had been given to the commoners and had nothing to do with this official. It was really depressing to not get any benefits after giving the money. The merchants looked at each other. They drank the wine first and then did not say anything. No one was willing to speak at this time. They all thought the same thing. Seeing that they did not speak, Governor Fong had a way. He ate 2 mouthfuls of food and said, "Are you all thinking of taking out the money? Don't worry, you don't have to take out too much. It just has to be comparable to the food on this table. Look at the shark fin and then look at the full rein. The food on this table was actually not paid for by this official. How could this official have so much money to eat this table of food? I heard from the owner of the restaurant that if this table of food and wine were to be sold outside, it would cost at least 500 strings of coins to eat. However, I didn't spend a single copper coin on this table of food. Do you know why? Isn't it because the common people risked their lives to fish up these things from the sea? They are repaying you. Don't worry, I will remember what you have done in my heart. The common people will also remember it in their hearts. You say, such kind-hearted common people, the things they fished out could have been sold for some money. However, in order to entertain us, they did not ask for a single copper coin. If the common people can do this, how can we not be compared to the common people? They don't wear as good as us, and they don't eat as good as us. The more this official thinks about it, the more upset I feel. This time, no matter what, we must let the common people have a good year. This official also wants to take out 500 strings of coins, but unfortunately, I don't have that much money. You all should not be lacking, right? With 112 people and 500 strings of coins per person, that would be 56,000 strings of coins. With this money, there was no need to worry about the commoners suffering. There were more than 30,000 commoners in the state, and each of them could receive nearly 2 strings of coins. Make some new clothes, buy some rice and flour, buy some oil, and get some wine to drink. It's New Year, and it's not easy to work hard for a year. Let the people be happy for once. Whoever comes first, those with money can take more. As long as it reaches the amount of 56,000 strings of coins, it's fine. Those without money can take less. Those who take first, tell me how much you can take out. If it's not enough, those who have money later will take out more. Governor Fong's face would sometimes have an expression of sadness for the common people, and sometimes it would turn into a smile of praise for the merchants. Every time it changed, the hearts of the merchants would tremble. 500 strings of coins. It wasn't the 100 strings of coins that they had originally thought of. This competition required them to fork out a lot of money. Some merchants might not even have 500 strings of coins in their entire family fortune. Naturally, they would be the ones who took less. Many people would not be able to earn 500 strings of coins in their entire lives. The merchants were filled with resentment. Who doesn't want money? 56,000 strings of coins for free? There were more than 30,000 people. If the money was divided among them, it was almost equivalent to half a year's income for some families. It would take half a year's income to celebrate the new year. When the time came, they would be able to send 300 to 400 copper coins to the common people. With this amount of money, the family would be able to live very well. If they wanted to eat meat, they would be able to eat meat. If they wanted to eat fish, they would not be lacking. If there were many people in the family, such as 6 people or 8 people, each person would have 200 copper coins. That would be 200 copper coins and 600 copper coins. It would be more than enough to spend a new year. In that case, would Governor Fong really give all the money to the common people? Stop dreaming. She must have kept a lot of money and took out the change. It was impossible for them to check the accounts. Who knew how much was left? It was such a large sum of money, and Governor Fong didn't even need to appreciate it. What good plan? He did not expect to be able to find such an excuse. Was the Chamber of Commerce in Lu Zhou's territory the same as here? There were many common people working for the Chamber of Commerce in Lu Zhou's territory. That was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the Chamber of Commerce in Lu Zhou's territory had begun to rely on the common people to make a lot of money. When the common people had their own things, they could not buy them at all. It was useless even if the price was higher than the Chamber of Commerce. The common people in Lu Zhou's territory would rather sell their goods to the Chamber of Commerce at a low price than to sell to them at a high price. This was the difference. Could the common people do this? The merchants remained silent. They were afraid of Governor Fong, but they were not idiots who would take out so much money. In any case, there were so many people. If they did not say anything and did not agree, what could Governor Fong do? Indeed, Governor Fong had this idea. He wanted the merchants to pay. When the time came, he would only take out a small part of the money to give to the common people. The common people would still be able to have a good new year. As for the rest of the money, he would, of course, keep it for himself. This was a good deal. He could earn tens of thousands of strings of coins in one go. Why didn't he think of this before? It was all thanks to Zhang Zhong. Governor Fong was very happy when he thought about it. He had gotten the money, and he did not have to make any promises to the merchants. This was a good deal. He should do more of this in the future. It would be best if there was another flood or strong wind. At this moment, when he saw the merchants were silent, he looked at Zhang Dongjia and said with a smile, Zhang Dongjia, I see that all of you are silent. Do you want more money? There's no need for that. 500 strings of coins is enough. I'll start with you. Zhang Dongjia was stunned when he heard this. He smiled wryly and looked at the people around him. He had no choice but to nod and say, "My lord, can those who don't have money take less? If the money taken first is not enough, then let those who take later take more? Then I'll say it. My family really can't take out that much money. However, I have rice at home. I will take out the market price of 300 strings of coins. Does my lord think it is okay?" These words were said skillfully. The market price of 300 strings of coins was actually less than 200 strings of coins. After all, he had bought the rice and kept it. At that time, the price of rice was not expensive. This way, he would lose less. He would just treat it as selling a rice. Governor Fong originally wanted him to take out 500 strings of coins. Now he saw that he only took out 300 strings of rice, and it was the market price. When the time came, there might be sand in the rice. This was a problem. Governor Fong did not say anything. Zhang Dongjia was worried and could only say, "My lord, you can add another 100 strings of coins to the market price. This is all I can do. Otherwise, my family will not need to live anymore." "All right, then 300 strings of rice and 100 strings of coins. Not bad. This is not a small amount. When it is not enough, find some wealthy families to make up for the 100 strings of coins." Governor Fong originally wanted to ask for more. But after all, it was just a small sum. It was fine as long as she had a good start. After she agreed, she looked at the others. Everyone shivered and didn't want to take the money. But when they saw the people from Yamen and Governor Fong's words, it seemed that those who took the money first could find an excuse to take less. The later they took the money, the harder it would be for them. "My lord, my family sells cloth. In fact, there is not much cloth left in my family. However, I'm still willing to take out 300 strings of coins." Some people were afraid that they would have to take more later and finally could not help but speak. With this, the alliance of the other merchants was broken. Even if they could not take it, they could not. Each of them hated Governor Fong in their hearts. At the same time, they also hated those who could not hold back. "My lord, my family is willing to take out 200 strings of meat and 100 strings of suet to let the common people have a good new year. This is all." Another person began to report his things. Those who were willing to take things had thought it through. They would take things and not money. "Look at this meat. How could you, Governor Fong, be greedy? Unless you sold it when the time came, you would not be able to keep it. You can be greedy. When the time comes and you want to sell it, let's see where you can sell it. Especially that meat, it will spoil in a few days. It will be better to sell it back to your shop. When the time comes, you can lower the price." With someone taking the lead, the others also began to talk about the money they wanted. As they spoke, their hearts were bleeding. The people at the side were in charge of taking notes. When the person finished speaking, they had more or less memorized. They came over and stamped their fingerprints. Then it was settled. When the time came, they would not take out the money and directly use this receipt to find the seller. When other merchants came in, they would not think of giving them money since they were offering goods. In the end, it was an antique seller who casually took out an item worth 700 strings of coins. The price would be different. If he said it was 700 strings of coins, someone would have to buy it. If no one bought it, it would not be worth it. It was not something necessary to use in life. As for the pawn shop, they had also taken out some useless items. This time, the value of the items was even higher. He had already thought about it. When he went back, he would issue a voucher. When the time came, he would arrange for someone to pawn a worthless item. He would be able to get as much money as he wanted. Naturally, that item would be worth that amount of money. The merchants seemed to have reached a consensus. No matter how much they gave, they were all goods. Especially a person who sold carpets. He opened his mouth and said, "My lord, I am willing to take out a precious carpet. It is estimated to be worth 3,000 strings of coins. In the past, someone offered me 2,800 strings of coins, but I did not sell it." There were few people like this. They immediately made up for the money owed by others. Even if they did not really give good things, they still deliberately gave a high price. In any case, there were many things that could not be directly estimated. Since that was the case, Why not give a high price? It would be more comfortable to listen to. Although those things were worthless, it would not be of much use even if they took it. In the beginning, Provincial Governor Fong was quite happy when she heard this. However, as she listened, she felt that something was wrong. They were all goods. None of them said that they would give money directly. Moreover, the value of many of these goods was not so easy to estimate. They would give as much as they wanted. This was not good. There were even people who said that they would give meat. Could it be that they would keep the meat to eat? If this continued, these merchants seemed to be prepared to take out goods. But what was the use of so many goods? They were easy to spoil. This was not good. She had to change. Thinking of this, Provincial Governor Fong interrupted the merchants who said that they wanted to take something and said, "Good, good. You are all good and righteous people. This year, the people will have an easy new year. It seems that there is no shortage of things now. Why don't you help the people with some living expenses? In other words, you don't need to take anything. These things are enough." After saying this, Provincial Governor Fong began to wait for the merchants below to take out money. The merchants who had not said anything were dumbfounded. They could see that the things that the people in front of them said were not worth the money at all. Fortunately, those people still helped others. For example, a person who was willing to take out medicine said that he wanted to take out some good ginseng. In the end, he said that he wanted to take out 3,000 strings of cash. In this way, according to an average of 500 strings of coins, he would be helping the other 5 people pay. Of course, even if he paid, the merchants could not pay anything. They just had to pay less. In this way, his 3,000 strings of coins could help a few people. When the merchants behind thanked him, it also made the merchants who said how much money they wanted to take out regret, especially the one who had the antiques. How much would it be if he said 10,000 strings of cash? Now, everyone had to face Provincial Governor Fong together. Therefore, the merchants huddled together. They did not want Provincial Governor Fong to take advantage of them too much. They did not expect Provincial Governor Fong to find such a reason and directly ask for money. This made the merchants behind him confused. What should they do? Should they give or not? Provincial Governor Fong looked at the remaining merchants with an expression that said, "I am not in a hurry." His purpose had been achieved. Even if the merchants behind him tried to find excuses to give less, or used some method to take the goods as a substitute, he did not care. Now, these things were enough for the people to have a good new year. He was prepared to save some things for his family to use slowly. He would give the things that could not be saved to the people. When the time came, the people would only remember his good deeds. Who would care about the merchants? As long as he used some tricks when writing the notice. Even if the names of these merchants were added, the people would think that these merchants were just there to join in the fun. The remaining merchants' money was earned directly. There were a total of 40 merchants who did not say anything. The money they lacked was 16,000 strings of cash. In other words, the people in front helped the 40 people behind get an extra 4,000 strings of cash. The 40 merchants fell silent again. If the 4,000 strings of cash were to be divided evenly, each of them would have to take out 400 strings of cash. However, which of the people in front could take out that much money? Although the price was high, they knew in their hearts that no one could take out 400 strings of cash. If you have money, you can take more. Although it says how much you have to take at least, it does not say that you can't take more. Just like the people in front, they took more. All right, let's start talking one by one. Start with me. Provincial Governor Fong saw that the rest of the people did not speak, so he began to urge them. The people who were pointed at saw that they could not avoid it, so they gritted their teeth and said, "I will take out 400 strings of cash. Sir, my business is to transport things for others. This place has suffered a disaster, so where can I transport things? If I take out this money, my family really has no money. Then you could take out 300 strings of cash. The rest of the money can be taken by the rich people. As long as you have the heart, then it is fine. Yes, you could take out a little less." Provincial Governor Fong deliberately said this. He had just calculated that there were exactly 40 people, and each person was worth 400 strings of coins. If this person took less, the others would have to bear the burden. As long as he did so, they would not continue to gang up against him. Yes, that was what he had to do. He had to sow discord between them. When this person heard Provincial Governor Fong's words, he wanted to agree, but he suddenly reacted. He shook his head and said, "Sir, this is not possible. No matter what, I have to do my part for the people. 400 strings of cash, not a single coin less. It is fine if the family suffers a little." Provincial Governor Fong saw that this person did not fall for it. So he began to speak to the second person who had not yet spoken. "Landlord, I heard that your business is not doing well either. Why don't you hand over 200 strings of cash? I cherish the people, but I cannot let you go bankrupt for the people." The landlord also shook his head and said, "Thank you for your understanding, sir. Do not worry, I can still take out this bit of money. 400 strings of cash is not a problem." The merchants hated Provincial Governor Fong even more. How could they not see Provincial Governor Fong's plan? However, at this time, if anyone dared to take less money and let others pay for it, then they would not be able to do business in Lianzhou in the future. Everyone would ostracize them. The others seemed to have reached an agreement. Each person said that they would take 400 strings of cash, no more, no less. When the last person finished, all the money was enough. Provincial Governor Fong saw that he could not sow discord, so he could only accept this matter. He took a lot less than he had originally planned. Although the overall amount was enough, he was not a fool. Of course, he knew that many things did not have that value. However, he could not say anything now. He had not gotten the item yet. He would think of something when he got it. After a bit of calculation, Provincial Governor Fong found that the things he truly got were not worth 56,000 strings of cash. It was already not bad to have 26,000 strings of cash. This also included the real 16,000 strings of cash at the end. That was fine. He would keep the 16,000 strings of cash. Either he would take out 1,000 strings of cash and give it to a few commoners that he liked, or he would give each commoner a bit less. There were more than 300 commoners, so giving each of them 30 strings of cash was not a small amount. Yes, he would do that. As for the rest of the things, he would pick the good ones and give the bad ones to the commoners. This was truly gaining both fame and fortune. Thinking of this, Provincial Governor Fong finally could not help but laugh out loud. After laughing, he looked at the expressions of the merchants and said, "I am happy, truly happy. I did not expect that the commoners' New Year's matter would be resolved so quickly. If you have any problems in the future, come find me. If I can help, I will help. Of course, don't count on me bending the law. I am not that kind of official. Come, let's drink. The commoners will remember you, and I will not forget you. You don't have to pay taxes this year, and you don't have to pay taxes in the first half of next year as well. When you pay taxes in the second half of next year, I have decided to reduce the tax by 5%. What do you think?" As Provincial Governor Fong spoke, he asked someone to pour more wine. He appeared to be very happy. He even picked up some food for the merchants beside him. He seemed to be in a good mood. The hearts of the merchants were bleeding, but no one dared to say anything. They could only look at Provincial Governor Fong, who was happy alone. After hearing Provincial Governor Fong's words, some of the merchants immediately expressed their gratitude. However, they did not think so in their hearts. What was the use of paying 5% less tax? If they could earn 400 strings of cash with 5% of the tax, wouldn't they be able to earn 8,000 strings of cash? Who would be able to earn so much money? If possible, they would rather pay double the tax than take out 400 strings of cash. Provincial Governor Fong also understood this matter. He could see that the merchants could not earn so much money. He was too happy today. After thinking for a moment, he said, "In that case, 5% of the tax is too little. I'll give you another benefit. Do you see Luzhou? The road at his place is well built, and the seawall is very good as well. I plan to ask the local commoners to repair the road and seawall when spring comes next year. We can't fall behind, right? In that case, the government will fork out a portion of the money, and the rest will be paid by those small merchants who are not invited today. The commoners will contribute. Originally, each of you would have to take out at least 200 strings of cash. But for the sake of your actions today, you can take less. Take 20 strings of cash. If it's too little, then take 50 strings of cash. In other words, when you wait for the road to be repaired, you don't have to take out 200 strings of cash. Also, I'll allow you to replace it with goods." However, the goods can't be antiques. One is grain, one is vegetables, and the other is oil, salt, meat, and the tools used by the commoners. Just take these. Take 150 strings of cash. What do you think? I've taken care of you, haven't I? Provincial Governor Fong threw out another thing. The merchants were all stunned. They did not expect Provincial Governor Fong to be so shameless. What did he mean by help? He actually wanted them to pay for it. Why? Was it considered taking care of them if they took out 150 strings of cash? Even if those things were falsely reported, it would cost 100 strings of cash. How much money could they earn in a month? This was something that Provincial Governor Fong could think of. If they compared it to Lu Zhou's place, would they have to build houses for the commoners? Would they have to build a pier here? The money paid by Lu Zhou was all from the Zhang family, and the money paid here was from them. How could it be the same? Since the Zhang family could pay, they could naturally earn it back. How could they earn it? Their lives would still be the same as before. Who could understand them? With that thought in mind, the merchants' faces turned unsightly. If it were not for the guards staring at them from the side, they really wanted to rush over and beat Provincial Governor Fong up. This was too much of a bully. No one would do this. Chapter 499. The merchants in Lianzhou City did not know how they managed to get home in the end. In any case, when they woke up early in the morning, they heard their families saying that they were talking in their sleep. They kept saying that they were a good person and that their lord was a good official. The merchants knew that they were saying it on purpose. However, when they talked too much, they started to say it in their dreams. They had no choice but to do so. If they did not keep thinking about it, they would easily reveal their true thoughts at the dinner table. In other words, it was easy for Provincial Governor Fong to hear them scolding Provincial Governor Fong. That would be troublesome. They did not know what was waiting for them in the future. After drinking some soup and calming down, these merchants gathered again. They could not wait any longer. They had not taken out the money yet. When they took out the money, who knew what kind of method Provincial Governor Fong would come up with to get the money? Although these merchants were powerful when they worked together, they were not as strong as Provincial Governor Fong. If Provincial Governor Fong really wanted to touch them, he could just find a random reason. The merchants gathered together. At this time, they did not have to smile at anyone. One by one, they poured out all the troubles in their hearts. In the end, they had no choice but to find a good backer. Naturally, that was Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce. They did not want to pay the money at first. Now, after being cheated by Provincial Governor Fong, they had to pay the money obediently. Although they could not get the money back easily. After all, Lu Zhou's Chamber of Commerce did a good job. It was reassuring. Provincial Governor Zhang's character was there. It was better than coming here every few days. In this way, they would not have to pay the 150 strings of coins in the future. This was the situation in Lianzhou. The other provinces followed suit. They used all kinds of methods to plunder the merchants. After all, the status of merchants was low and they did not have to care so much. If they were to plunder the common people, it would be easy for them to get into trouble. All kinds of scholars would not care about this. In their hearts, the merchants should be dealt with. They would not care about the common people. At least, this kind of thing did not involve them. They could not do anything about it. The practices of these provinces had forced the merchants to come to Lu Zhou to cooperate with the merchant association here. After paying the entrance fee and the deposit, they finally felt relieved when they received the proof from the merchant association. They did not come here in vain. The goods here were divided according to the entrance fee. This allowed them to earn some money through this trip. It was better than being bullied in their own provinces and constantly having to fork out money. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang did not expect that Shang Yi would suffer so much in the neighboring province. Good. This was very good for the two of them. Only with a comparison could they feel happy. It seems that we should spread the news of what happened in the surrounding provinces to more provinces and let the provincial governors and other officials of the other provinces learn from them. Merchants with backing might not be afraid, but most of them don't. We should take this opportunity to expand the Chamber of Commerce to those provinces. We should accept more merchants. Moreover, my family has an official position, so we don't have to worry about ordinary people daring to touch us. We could try to use the economy to influence politics. Do you think it will work? It's not the way of hoarding. If that's the case, the local government can directly find trouble with us. It doesn't matter who has backing. We can use logistics to transport the goods to other places to be sold. We can also use the exchange of goods between the merchant association to avoid this risk. This way, the local government will not be able to get a handle on us. Zhang Xiaobao did not expect that so many officials would kill the goose that laid the golden eggs. This made him happy. Only when others were treated unfairly could his Chamber of Commerce expand at a faster speed. This was especially true for the entrance fee and deposit. This money was basically for his own use. The entrance fee was a direct income. As for the deposit, although it was said that it would be returned, all merchants basically had to trade back and forth. In other words, as they received more goods from the Chamber of Commerce, their trade would become bigger and bigger. The Chamber of Commerce didn't just sell the goods to them at a slightly lower price. They also had to help them make some plans so that they could grow faster. With this plan, there wouldn't be any conflicts between them, and they could reasonably adjust the positions of the merchants in the same Chamber of Commerce. In this way, they would develop. In that case, in order to get more goods, they would have to increase the entrance fee. In order to get more profits, they would also have to increase the deposit. These two kinds of money could be used for other things. They would not have to worry about taking it out. If a merchant did not manage well, then a part of the deposit would be deducted, which was even better. Thinking about this, Zhang Xiaobao was ready to set up a bank. Most of the money was put in and taken out little by little, or saved little by little. This way, more money could be used for investment. Wang Wan also knew about this. In the past, the international community had joined forces to investigate an illegal gambling organization. This organization's gambling was not a big deal. Some countries allowed it. It was a worldwide organization. Through the internet, they settled in US dollars. There was an account where money could be taken out after winning and money could be added in after losing. Through this method of making money through competitions, it felt that the investment each time was not much. If you wanted to buy tens of thousands of dollars, you would not sell it. It was because of this that many people were willing to enter and play. It was a kind of entertainment. When playing for a day, they would only lose a few dozen dollars. If they won, it would depend on their ranking. At most, they could win a few $1,000s a day. It felt that the website did not make much money and they could only take a little bit each time. However, there were many people. Many people had more than $1,000 in their accounts, or even thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in virtual money. This money was used by the people of the organization to invest. Later on, due to the failure of the investment, some of the players ran on the bank. This time, they were sued because they did not have enough money. Wang Wan thought that since they could not stop the gambling here, they should come up with a similar solution. A single person could win a lot if they won once, but everyone could only lose a little after playing enough every day. Thinking of this, Wang Wan immediately told Zhang Xiaobao about this idea. Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about how to get more money to carry out a thorough plan. He did not expect that Wang Wan would also think of a method. If this method was done well, not only could it solve some gambling problems, but it could also get more living money. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's find a place to experiment first. We can't just go to a strange place to try it. How about Yaozhou? Huaiyuan County is in charge of the gambling there, but it may not be the same for other counties. We can start from there and organize the gambling. We have to make the gambling process longer. For example, after playing for a day, the winner will be ranked according to the ranking, and a portion of the gambling money will be given. Those who lose can only lose 5 copper coins a day at most. Even if he wants to be a prodigal, he can't be a prodigal. It would be strange if he lost all his money at this speed. Moreover, as the number of times he plays games with skills increases, as long as he is not a fool, he can gradually improve his skill level. In the end, he can gradually win back the money he lost. Yes, set the upper and lower limits of gambling money each time and guide them to play. It's better than gambling with dice, right? You can bet as much as you want. If you lose, it's all gone. If you win, you'll have more. Even in Yaozhou, you can think of a way to get the Yaozhou government to help you catch those people who are still gambling outside using dices and other methods. Zhang Xiaobao finally got rid of one of his worries. He was very disgusted with people gambling, especially those who gambled until they went bankrupt. Every time he saw such a thing, even if he knew that he couldn't do anything about it, he still felt helpless. Gambling was actually an idea to reap without sowing. Of course, the process of gambling was actually a kind of labor. However, this kind of labor could not produce any actual goods and was not good for society. If people from other countries came to gamble, it would be a different matter. The two of them discussed several games that could be used to gamble and wrote down the details. Then they found the old man pie. When they told the old man pie was puzzled at first. Then he was very surprised, and then he was very happy. He said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "Good idea, really good idea. I will also help. Now we will try it in Yaozhou. If it works, we will do it in the whole Tang Empire in the future. Those who win can win a lot, but those who lose can't lose much. A few people win, and most people lose. Not bad, not bad." "Did you two come up with this idea?" the old man suddenly asked as he was talking. Ordinary people would not think of this at all. Only children like to play games. These games were very interesting at first glance, but there were more rules in them. They did not know whether it was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan who came up with it, or the master behind the Zhang family. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already expected this question. They nodded and shook their heads. Zhang Xiaobao said, "Grandpa Bai, Cuckoo, and I came up with this idea when we had nothing to do here. But we couldn't think of so many things, so we asked others to add on. Grandpa Bai, will this really work?" "Yes, why not? We will put it in Yaozhou and let the government there organize it, not your family. Otherwise, what will other places do? Don't tell me that after it succeeds, your family still wants to earn this commission from other states?" The old man thought that this was right. How could two children think of so many rules? However, his next sentence made Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan dumbfounded. The two of them did not expect that the old man would hand this matter to the government. The two of them looked at each other and saw the gloomy look in each other's eyes. They wanted to use this to get money, but now they had to give it to the government for no reason. Why? However, when they saw the old man pie's serious look, the two of them really did not have a better idea. According to what the old man said, the two of them could only achieve one wish, and that was to prevent people who gambled from losing all their property. Of course, this method had a disadvantage, and that was that it could easily attract people who did not gamble to participate in it. What? You still want to earn this money? Then how will you do in the future? When the local government sees that you're making money, won't they think of ways to make trouble for you? The old man saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's expressions and knew what the two children were thinking, but this was definitely not something he could do. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and said, "It's not that we want to do this ourselves. If this matter is handed over to my family, then my family can guarantee that it will be fair. However, if it is handed over to the government, it will be difficult, especially when a portion of the money is used to exchange for chips. Who can guarantee that the government will not embezzle this money? What if the government sees that this money is basically a small amount and takes out more than half of it to do other things? Once it is lost and someone collects it to exchange for some money, then what will he do? What will those people who participate in it do? If it is my family, it will not be like this. My family has a lot of business, and we don't lack this money. When the time comes, we can exchange it for others at any time. How about this? Let my family and the government jointly manage this matter. My family will be responsible for the money of the chips, and the government will earn the money left after each time. This way, it will be solved, and the government will not be able to touch the money of the chips. Grandpa Bai, don't you think this is good? We can't have thought of a good idea for nothing, right? The chips will be made by my family. If the government wants to buy the chips from my family, they can use a portion of the money they earn every day to buy the chips. I think this matter is very good." After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, Wang Wan also said, Yes, Grandpa Bai, we can't let the government take care of it by themselves. If something happens, everyone will not play this game in the future. At that time, everyone will run to gambling again. This is a game, not gambling. It is just a game with a little bit of luck. Grandpa Bai, if you really want the government to do something independently, then there is also a lottery. It has to be organized by the emperor. The purpose of the lottery is to gather everyone's love to help the place where the lottery was set up to do something. The specific method of the lottery is Wang Wan began to talk about the lottery to the old man. When she talked about gathering everyone's love to risk their lives, she felt her face turn red. What love? Wasn't just thinking of getting more money when they won the lottery? What was different from other things was that other gambling was private and had to be investigated and regulated, but this was the government and was legal and reasonable. Old man Pai didn't think so much. The more he listened to Wang Wan talk about the lottery, the more surprised he became. Of course, this couldn't be done in a national format, but it could be done in every state. The people who bought the lottery not only had to spend a little bit of money, but also had to remember their home address. Even if they lost the lottery, they could still get the money. As long as they won the lottery, the government would personally send the money to them. If their home address and household registration were wrong, it would be useless even if they came with the winning lottery. In this way, they didn't have to worry about not receiving the money. The only trouble was the time to open the lottery and redeem the prize. If one's home was far away, it would take more than 10 days, so there was no expiration date. As long as one bought the lottery, it would be counted. Moreover, the lottery would be sold every 2 days, and the lottery would also be opened every 2 days. After listening to Wang Wan talk about the lottery, Old Man Pai didn't immediately say whether it was good or not. Instead, he asked Old Man Chang next to him, "What do you think of this matter? If we really do this, the emperor will have more money to do things, and we don't have to worry about competing with the people for money. After all, this lottery is for the people. I think it's okay as long as the emperor agrees, but there should be a limit. For example, if a person wants to buy more than one lottery ticket, he can't be allowed to buy more. For example, each person can only buy 10 at a time, and they have to write down their household registration. If they buy more than that, they won't be sold. In this way, we don't have to worry about people selling their belongings to buy the lottery ticket. What do you think?" Old Man Chang also said. This method was indeed very good, but no one had thought of it before. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sighed in relief. As long as the people here did it, they didn't have to be afraid of strict supervision, especially with the emperor personally supervising. They thought that the people below wouldn't dare to cheat and let their relatives win the lottery. After all, this was a household registration. The most important thing was that with the lottery ticket as a distraction, the two people could continue to play the game. They couldn't think of 2 ways to make money in a row and not give any benefits in the end, right? Without the 2 of them saying anything, Old Man Pai also understood Wang Wan's thoughts. He said, "As for the game, your family can cooperate with the government. Don't interfere with the lottery ticket. I'll write a memorial to those people, and also to the emperor. You two can rest assured that I won't go on a business trip. You have to wait for Yao Zhou to succeed before you go elsewhere. Ask the emperor to restrict this matter. Otherwise, if others interfere, I'll leave it for your family." "Thank you, Grandpa Bai. When we make money, no, when we see that many people don't gamble anymore, we'll buy you something as a prize." Zhang Xiaobao almost told the truth, but he quickly changed his words. In fact, how could Bai Lauda not know that this matter could make money? He used to be a high-ranking official in the Ministry of Revenue, but the Zhang family was rich, so he didn't care about this small amount of money at all. So even if he took the money away at the last minute, when others wanted to exchange it, they could still exchange it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were relieved. Although they gave away another lottery ticket for free, the 2 of them were not depressed. There was no problem with the lottery ticket to the government, but there would be problems if it was given to them. They couldn't control the lottery ticket because it involved too many things. Grandpa Bai must have thought that the money from the game wouldn't be too much, but he didn't think that if there was such a place in every county, how much money could be collected by the whole Tang Empire. In that case, it could be used at will. The more people join, the more stable the amount of money would be. Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao out and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao had the same thoughts as well. He said, "Actually, Grandpa Bai doesn't think that this matter will succeed completely. Furthermore, some people will change it on the same day they buy it. This is very normal. People now don't have such thoughts, but after a few years, some people will find it troublesome. They will be willing to keep their money in the place where they exchange chips. Zhang Xiaobao was right. In the beginning, there would definitely be people who would take back the money they won to exchange. Very few people would be willing to leave money in the exchange account. After all, it was money in their hands, and they would feel at ease. After a few years, when the Kaiyuan era was at its best, and the people had adapted to this game, there would be people who would not be in such a hurry to withdraw money. At that time, it would be the time when the game would be most effective. After the two of them finished their business, they began to think about how to arrange for people to be in charge of various places. If the people they found had some ideas, it would be more troublesome. For example, this person privately used the money to lend money, etc. This was absolutely not allowed to happen. If they wanted to lend money, it had to be Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan themselves. Xiaobao, we really need to set up a bank. Although there are many times when people like to barter, after all, some people still have money in their hands. If we set up a bank, we can put money out. It is especially for people who do business or have new ideas. The profit can be less. Making money is secondary. The main thing is to cultivate some people. As long as they have ideas, we should support them. Maybe we can use such people in the future. Wang Wan thought about the bank at this time. She was not going to set up a bank everywhere at once. She mainly wanted to find a reasonable way to put out loans. In this way, as long as other people had good ideas, they could cultivate them. Anyway, they were already developing well now. It was also good for them to cultivate more people. Zhang Xiaobao listened to Wang Wan's words and fell into deep thought. This was really not easy to do. If they could only deposit money and put out money, they would lose some of the functions of a bank, such as foreign deposit and withdrawal, etc. If they set up a bank first, before they saw any disadvantages, others would see the benefits first and learn to do it. Wouldn't that be a mess? Thinking of these things, Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan, "Let's put the bank matter aside first. After all, it is easy to get into trouble now. Let's try a simple bank first. It is a place for people to exchange change and cash. When the time comes, we can slowly develop this into a bank. This way, we don't have to give money to animals first." Chapter 500. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan now had something to do, and that was to set up a bank. Originally, they should have set up a few pawn shops before setting up a bank. They had to do this bit by bit. However, the two of them didn't want to set up a pawn shop at this time. If they didn't want to set up a pawn shop, they had to deliberately make other people's things seem very cheap. This was a bit of a shock to the two of them. They weren't going to do that, so they could only set up a bank. The bank's function wasn't to give out loans, at least that wasn't the purpose. It was to help other people keep their money. At the same time, it was responsible for redeeming the change back and forth. However, at this time, it could be considered as having some pocket money. In the process of helping people keep their money, they could use the money to do other things. When people came to ask for it, they could give it to them. In other words, the more money they kept, the more stable the money they could take out when the time came. When the income and expenditure reached a certain level, it would be balanced. The people next to them didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were busy with. In any case, the two of them were always busy when they were idle. They always looked like they had endless work to do. If one looked carefully at Zhang Wang clan's stomach, they would find that it was a little bigger, but it wasn't that obvious. Zhang Zhong didn't have much to do now, so he stayed at home all day to accompany her. While they were busy, the fleet from Beijing finally arrived at their destination. The people on these ships were already here for the second time, so they weren't as worried as they were at the beginning. There were also some ships behind them. These ships were also big ships with sails on them. It was very difficult for them to follow behind the fleet. The Zhang family's fleet couldn't slow down to take care of them. They still went as fast as they could, especially when they encountered a headwind. The Yellow River Shipping Company's people behind them had to chase after them with all their might every time they were pulled apart. The only way was to use the oars. The rowers on the boat were exhausted. When they were on the Yellow River, they thought that their boat was the fastest boat. Now they realized that the boats with wheels on both sides and special sails were much faster than theirs, especially since they had never seen what the sea was like. being blown by the sea breeze, and the waves made them very worried. They were afraid that their boat wouldn't be able to withstand the waves and would capsize. Fortunately, they finally persevered all the way. When they saw the dock in front of them, everyone standing on the deck cheered, as if they had conquered this place. The Zhang family's fleet didn't care about the boats behind them at all. When they stopped at the dock, they began to unload. This time, they brought a lot of things which could be used for the local people's new year. If they didn't hurry up, Zhang wouldn't be able to deliver things in time. The dock was big enough for the Zhang family's fleet to occupy all the docks. They didn't need to wait anymore. The Yellow River Shipping Company's people weren't in a hurry. They just wanted to take a good look at the situation here. Even the rowers below ran to the deck. There were many sceneries that they had never seen before. It was very novel, especially this big dock. They really didn't know what was used to build the dock. The cement had just been transported to the capital. Of course, the people outside didn't know about it. The emperor planned to use the cement to build something for himself first. When he felt that it was enough, he would use it to build the city wall and the streets of Chang'an. Many commoners were called over to help unload the things. They now knew that during the new year, the good officials would give them some things to let them have a good new year. A portion of these things were on the ship, so they all worked as if they didn't care about their lives. If it wasn't for someone stopping them in time, it would have been easy for a few people to die from exhaustion. After these ships finished unloading their goods, the Yellow River Shipping Company's ships also approached. They didn't find anyone to help them unload their goods. Instead, they brought their own people. They set up a gangplank and began to carry the leftovers of the fur. As soon as they were done, someone came over to collect the money. The Yellow River Shipping Company had sent 16 boats this time, which was all of their big boats. It was impossible to find such a big boat on the Yellow River. How could Zhang Xiaobao let 16 boats stop at the dock for nothing? They had to pay some money. It was not free to build the dock. They spent a lot of money. The person who came said to the people who got off the boat, 16 boats. According to the rules here, one boat costs 10 strings of money. You can pay first and then stop the boat. If you don't have money, you can write a receipt first and pay after the goods are sold. But at that time, you have to pay more. How are you going to pay? Money? Why would we need to pay to stop the boat? I've never heard of such a thing. We didn't pay when we stopped the boat in Beijing. Why do you ask for money when we come here? The person who came down didn't carry anything. At first glance, it was obvious that he was in charge. When he heard someone ask for money, he was very unhappy. It seemed that he was not going to pay. The person in charge of the dock on the Zhang family's side didn't care about the other party's attitude. This money was a must. He said to the person, "When you are there, you can find a place to stop the boat, so generally, no one will ask you for money. Moreover, when you arrive at the dock, there will be people working there to pick you up. They will give some money to the dock. Many people are even hired by the dock. Also, you will eat there, and the shops on the dock will also get money. The most important thing is that the dock there is dedicated to welcoming guests from all over. You can go to some of the docks on the other side of the Yangtze River and see if they accept your money. Also, can the docks in other places compare to ours? We spent a lot of money to build this dock. That's not right. One boat is 10 strings of money. 16 boats is 160 strings of money. You're too good at making money. Make it cheaper. How about one boat is 10 strings of money? If that's the case, we will pay. If not, we will find a place where we can also stop the boat. At most, we will take out a small boat and transport it to the shore bit by bit." The person in charge of the Yellow River Shipping Company still wanted to negotiate the price, so he directly reduced it to 10%. He thought that as long as he said that he would not stop at the dock, the other party would be afraid of him. Unfortunately, he met the Zhang family. The Zhang family really didn't care about his little money. He shook his head and said, "No, it's 10 strings of money. If you want to stop, stop here. If you don't want to stop, then do as you please. In the future, when a boat comes, we will ask first. We won't let you occupy this place like this. Stop somewhere else. When there is a strong wind or something, if you want to come again, the money will have to be doubled." Do you really want to charge so much money? Okay, then we will stop on the water outside and use a small boat to transport it bit by bit. I don't believe that we can't transport it. We came here specifically to help you. When the time comes, don't think that you can get any goods from us. If you don't want to sell it, you can sell it to other places at a higher price. How about it? Consider it. Do you want to stop?" The person in charge of the Yellow River Shipping Company still didn't want to give up. If the boat was stopped at the dock, it would be much more stable. If it was stopped at other places, he would always feel worried. Yes, one boat is 10 strings of money. The Zhang family still insisted. In fact, 10 strings of money was not a lot for the entire Yellow River Shipping Company. Compared to other places, it was much more. No matter what, they would not accept it. Otherwise, they would have to take out 160 strings of money. How many things could 160 strings of money buy? Just thinking about it made their hearts ache. Having reached this point, the two of them were not willing to compromise. The people who came down once again boarded the ship. The ship slowly left the dock until it passed the perimeter of the dock. The anchor was cast down to fix the ship, and a few small boats were released. The large ship continued to deliver goods to the shore, one small boat after another. At this time, the Zhang family did not say anything more. If they really wanted to make things difficult for the other party, it would be easy to tell them that as long as they came up, they would have to pay. However, this matter could not be done. The Zhang family's dock was really 10 strings of money for a big boat. Because it was built well, small boats were much cheaper. The Zhang family did not make things difficult for the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company, but the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company did not think so. This time, when the people who came over heard the words of the person in charge who went down just now, they were all very angry. They really felt that the people here were bullying them. Isn't it just stopping the boat? They actually want so much money. Fine, after we ship the goods up, we will not sell them and make them jealous. The son of the owner of the Yellow River Shipping Company's big boat company stood on the deck and said angrily. The others nodded one after another, agreeing with his son's words. There were 16 boats. Because they had to use small boats to send the goods down bit by bit, it took a lot of time. Until the sky turned dark, they still had not transferred all the goods. The people on the boat ate while complaining about the attitude of the people here. They did not know what the person from the Zhang family said just now. It was all the thoughts of the person in charge who came back. Because of this, the owners of the various ships didn't intend to be nice to the people here. Each and every one of them was talking about selling the leftovers of these furs from other places. They still believed that these things would be worth a lot of money. Who knew that there was not a lack of fur here, especially with the Shirwan Mountains behind. This was also something that Zhang Xiaobao did not consider when he came here, so he made the fur into sofas and some furniture. Otherwise, how could it be like this? At night, the people of the Yellow River Shipping Company were still working hard to transport the goods. When they were on the boat, they did not dare to casually light the torches. This was fur, and it was really easy to start a fire. They could only make some torches on the shore to light up the boat. At the same time, there were also some owners who came ashore under the protection of the guards. They happened to meet some local people. These people were actually here to fish for prawns at night. They were all children, so that they could sell the prawns to subsidize their families. Among the owners of the Yellow River Boat Line, a man surnamed Sun saw the kids swimming to a reef. He curiously stopped the kid who hadn't gone over yet and asked him, "What are you doing here? Where did you get the clothes on you? How much is it? Is your family wealthier than mine? Also, how many people here can't wear clothes?" The child who was stopped looked at this person and was a little confused. He didn't know why this person was asking so many questions. However, looking at the expression on this person's face, he didn't seem to be so evil. He answered, "I got these clothes by working, and so did the other people's clothes. I don't know how much they cost, as no one sells them here. My family isn't rich, but I can still have some spare money to spare after I eat. The people here have clothes to wear, and the fabric is similar to mine. No one can't wear clothes, and everyone's family is like mine. They have a small building to live in and a little spare money." What the child said was true, but it was different in the ears of the people around him. When they came here, they had already asked people and knew that the people here lived very hard lives. Especially when they passed by several other states, they saw the people who worked at the seaside. Some of them did not even have a piece of clothing and were naked from top to bottom. Now, this child actually said that everyone had clothes to wear, and everyone had spare money. How is this possible? The owner, surnamed Sun, naturally thought so. He looked at the child in front of him and said, "Child, it's not good to lie. Come, tell me the truth, and I will give you candy." As he spoke, he put his hand into his sleeve. In fact, there was no candy in his sleeve at all. It didn't bring any candy this time. However, he was to take out 2 copper coins to buy candy for the child. It was the same. In his opinion, the child should change his words, but he did not expect the child to still insist and say, "I didn't lie to you." It's like this. When you came here, did you see that other people were not like this and think that we have a very bad life? In fact, our life is very good because we have a good official. We don't lack anything. Forget it. If you don't believe me, go and ask others. I'm going over. After the child finished speaking, he directly took off his clothes and jumped into the water. After a while, he swam to the reef. It was not easy to fish for prawns on the reef. If one was not careful, the hook would be caught. When that time came, the line would be broken. These people on the shore were still thinking about the child's words. Even if they did not believe it, at this time, they had to choose to believe it once. Just once, they would send people to other places to check. Was that Zhang Zhong really as powerful as others said? In such a short time, he actually made the people here live a good life and let them live a happy life. At this time, one of the owners said to Sun Dongjia, "I don't understand now. If these children's lives are really so good, why do they still come out at night to fish for prawns? How much can these prawns be sold for? Anyway, the prawns on the other side of the Yellow River can't be sold at a high price. If they don't live a good life, look at those children's clothes. They're wearing new clothes. Aren't they afraid that these clothes will be accidentally damaged on the reef? Who would be willing to do that? So, I guess these children were deliberately sent here by someone with bad intentions. They sent us here so that we can't see the depth of this place. They want to buy the fur we brought here at a low price. Do you think so?" After hearing what he said, the others also felt that it was reasonable and nodded one after another. Even Ba Sun was like this, but he still couldn't be so sure. He said to this person, "If it's really like what the child said, then it's good. At least we can sell these things. Selling to the rich is better than selling to the poor, right? Okay, now let's immediately send people to other places to check, especially the places where there are people living. Remember, don't split up. Each team needs 5 people. Hold a torch. If there is any danger, run back quickly. What if the people here are very poor? It won't be good if they rob my people. Go quickly and come back quickly. Don't go too far. Just go take a look." With his words, the people who were tired from working split up and began to take torches to other places to check. In this way, the owners wouldn't wander around. If they encountered any danger, who knew if there was anyone here who could save them? After waiting for these people to leave, Sun Dongjia said to the other owners, "When you do things here, you must be careful, especially that Zhang Zhong. If you meet him, try to be polite. Otherwise, he will easily find a reason to make you stay here. This dock is his family's. Look at those ships. If they want to make us stay, we can't outrun them at all. If we can't outrun them at sea, it's even more useless on land. They are more familiar with this place than we are. Besides, when we came here, we didn't bring any horses. Remember, once you meet the Zhang family, try not to offend them. A little impatience will spoil the big plan." His words were very sincere, but not all of these owners thought the same. They thought more about how they came here to help Zhang Zhong. Without the goods on their ships, Zhang Zhong's side would be very difficult. It was this thought that had always existed in their hearts. Zhang Zhong didn't know what others were thinking when they came here. He still didn't know how many ships came here. He had a lot of things to do. After the things on the ships were taken down, he had to send these things to the local people and let them have a good new year. Regardless of whether it was night or not, Zhang Zhong sat in the car and swayed towards the farthest county. It would take him a few days to walk, and this was under the condition that the car was moving at a very fast speed. Behind the car he was sitting in was a long line. These lines were all trucks that were transporting goods, and on them were things that Zhang Zhong wanted to send to others. Along the way, they would occasionally meet a few people who were rushing through the night. When these people saw Zhang Zhong's car, they would always stop and respectfully greet him. At the same time, they also waited for Zhang Zhong to send them things. They had already heard that there were a lot of things this year that would allow them to eat and drink well during the new year until the 15th. As for what these things were, they didn't know. Each and every one of them could only imagine and guess. Zhang Zhong didn't lack the time to greet people. Whenever he met someone, he would say a few words with a kind smile. Along the way, the sky was getting darker and darker. Zhang Zhong unknowingly fell asleep. The owners of the docks were still waiting. They wanted to know what this place was like. Before long, someone came back from the docks. When he arrived, he said to everyone, "I found them. The people here have big houses and big courtyards. Those houses are very beautiful. When I passed by, I heard the sound of duck. I went to the back to take a look. I saw a lot of pigs being raised by them. Each one of them looked very good. But now is not the time to kill them for meat. I reckon that summer will be enough." Occasionally, people who couldn't sleep would sit outside and chat. I went to take a look. They were wearing very good clothes. That's all. Oh, there's one more thing. They didn't build their houses directly on the ground. Instead, they built them on the ground. I don't know why they did that. Anyway, I don't understand. When this person was talking, he seemed very excited. He had a reason to be excited. What he heard and saw along the way was that the people by the seaside lived a very hard life. He didn't expect that this Luzhou was different from other places. He was excited, but the bosses were shocked. If they didn't know that this person wouldn't lie to them, they would really think that this person was lying. How is that possible? They passed by Lianzhou on their way here, and they were very clear about the situation there. Why was there such a big gap between the two neighboring states? This question was worth pondering. Sun Dongjia looked at the people around him and said, "Now you know. Zhang Zhong is very capable. Don't underestimate him. Otherwise, the ones who will suffer in the end will be us. If we can avoid offending him, we will not offend him. Even if he asks for these goods from us, as long as we can get on his good side, I am willing. As for what you think, I don't care. If something happens, don't blame me for not warning you in advance." Chapter 501. There was a vast sea route, and no one knew where the clouds were. The breeze blew the drizzle, and the huge waves fell on the reef. The evening moon ebbed, and the morning sun rose from the horizon. A rainbow crossed several shores and soared among the gulls and herons. The owners of the Yellow River Shipping Company didn't sleep well all night. When they woke up in the morning, they saw an amazing picture scroll. The sun was drizzling gently. They had seen many sceneries on the way here by boat, but compared to those sceneries, it was definitely not as shocking as the one in front of them. It was drizzling here, and there was a rainbow whose route was unknown over there. The moon that hadn't disappeared, yet was about to fall into the sea. The seabirds that rose early in the morning shuttled back and forth in the rain and fog. The foam brought by the waves hitting the beach seemed to be endless. The carriages transporting goods for the people who were still working gradually disappeared from sight. The children who didn't have to do anything for the time being gathered together, humming a tune that the masters couldn't hear, and jumping with fishing poles and prawn cages, they ran to the shore. It was impossible to overlap with a place that had suffered a disaster not too long ago. How could it be the land of exile that many people talked about? It was clearly a paradise. No. It was even more shocking than a paradise. Last night, they received some news. That was, not only could the people have houses to live in, there were also many schools, and even a place called the nursing home. It could be said that the farmers had their own fields, the residents had their own houses, the elderly had their own care, and the children had their own education. There was nothing that couldn't be done here. It's prosperous. Zhang Zhong and the Zhang family of Sanshui are really capable. They deserve to be the people who pushed Zhongxian to Shangxian and combined several counties into a province. No wonder the imperial court is so ambiguous to the Zhang family. All the impeachment memorials against Zhang Zhong were suppressed. The Zhang family can stabilize this area. I've decided. Today, I'll ask to see Zhang Zhong. What's wrong with giving the goods I brought to him for free? Sun Dongjia stood alone at the bow of the ship, looking at the scenery in front of him and the brightly colored clothes on the children as he muttered to himself. As the biggest force in the Yellow River Shipping Company, he also had his own sources of information. He knew how many people didn't like the Zhang family and used all kinds of channels to impeach Zhang Zhong. From time to time, someone would send a report, but these reports were like a stone sinking into the sea without the slightest ripple. People who were impeached in court would immediately change the topic. The emperor simply ignored them. When the impeachment report reached the secretariat, there was no news. Anyone with a bit of foresight was protecting the Zhang family, protecting Zhang Zhong, this ridiculously young fourth-ranked top scorer. Lian province was also affected by the disaster. However, Pan province and Lei province were not affected by the disaster. Throughout their journey, they had never seen anything like Lu Zhou. How did Zhang Zhong do this? Looking at those children, each and every one of them had rosy cheeks and chubby little arms. One could tell how their lives were like. If this continued, it seemed that Lu Zhou would not be considered to be sent to Lingnan in the future. Otherwise, those who were sent to Lingnan would be overjoyed. Whoever was sent to this place would enjoy a good life. There were wide roads, fields, boats out at sea, and trees and flowers on both sides of the roads. The breeze was gentle, the waves were gentle, the sand was warm, the sound of birds chirping, the sun was setting, the fishing boats were singing, the smoke was rising in spirals, the children were playing happily, and the sound of conches was heard. What land of exile! It was clearly a paradise on earth. It was a waste of talent. If Zhang Zhong was a little older, he would not be just a provincial governor. Who asked him to be so young? In less than a year, he had endured the disaster and built the desolate land into such a prosperous place. What if there was no disaster? What if he was given more time? With this ability, it was no wonder that so many people were jealous of him. It was also no wonder that so many people wanted to protect him. If he had subordinates who could do this, he would also send them out to do the most difficult things. Unfortunately, if his subordinates had such ability, they would not stay under him. Sun Dongjia stood at the bow of the boat and sighed with emotion. Someone who had also woken up came over and stood beside Sun Dongjia. He looked at the children and said, "They are really bold. Aren't they afraid that we will catch them?" Sun Dongjia sneered. "Catch them? Why don't you try? Someone will take over your ship company. Have you arranged the next person?" The person who spoke was also the owner of a ship company. Together, they were called the Yellow River Shipping Company. Usually, they had their own ship companies. After all, the Yellow River was too big and too long. No ship company dared to say that they controlled all of it. Does Zhang Zhong dare to make a move? My ship company pays more than 1,000 strings of coins a year in tax. Will the imperial court not care? It is easy to deal with me. But if one of them is dealt with, we agreed that the other ship companies on the Yellow River will help. Then the imperial court will lose more than just 1,000 strings of coins. The person who came later was still a little unconvinced. He thought that if the entire ship company worked together, they would be able to firmly suppress Zhang Zhong. Sun Dongjia still looked at the children playing and said, "Catch one and see. If you have the ability, kill one. For example, throw him off the boat and say that he wanted to let the children on the boat to play and accidentally fell to his death. See if Zhang Zhong will let you go back alive. It just so happens that we can test Zhang Zhong's bottom line. Is he going to take my life for the sake of an ordinary child? I don't believe it." The person's voice became louder. "That's because you don't know how much Zhang Zhong likes the children. Or rather, his family and the people behind him like the children. Your information collection is too poor. Don't you know about the hospital in Huayuan County? What's the hospital? Actually, it's nothing. If the children are sick, they don't have to wait in line. They can go through another passage. The other passage is open 24 hours a day. The 4 doctors take turns to see the patients. The doctors and apprentices are not allowed to touch them. They can only watch. The children don't have to pay for the consultation or medicine. If they need to stay there for treatment, they don't have to pay for their meals. There are fruits all year round. Then who built the hospital? Who has the final say? From this, you can see the Zhang family's attitude towards the children. Look at the children's clothes. The younger the child is, the better the material and the more beautiful it is. Take a closer look. The youngest girl was only 2 years old. What is she wearing on her head? The hair clip sold by the Zhang family is not made of ordinary stones. It's made of jade, Lantian jade. The Zhang family and Wang family's roots are in the production area. Where do you think the jade came from? Why is this hair clip on the children's heads? They haven't swum to the reef yet. Look around the boat and see if there's a rock that can hold the boat down. Throw a small piece over there. If you hit someone, we'll know what the consequences are. Sun Dongjia did not believe that these people on the boat would dare to touch Lu Zhou's children. He deliberately provoked the owner. He only knew that Zhang Zhong or the Zhang family liked the children. He did not know that the one who liked the children was the young master of the Zhang family, Zhang Xiaobao. If someone really beat the children to death, not to mention the person who did it, even the people on the boat would not be spared. When Zhang Xiaobao dealt with them, he would ask, "Why didn't you stop me when you were on the boat? If you didn't stop me, you would be an accomplice. If you can do it to the children, why can't I do it to the adults?" I'm just kidding. How can you beat such cute children? You can't even catch them. It's better to give them something good to eat. What are they doing? Aren't they going to swim over? The owner of the boat explained while waving his hand. He was afraid that someone would tell the Zhang family about this. What if they thought that he had such an idea? He happened to see a few older children surrounding the girl that Sun Dongjia mentioned just now. They were blowing something hard. So he changed the topic and asked. Sun Dongjia didn't know what it meant. He could only watch as the children surrounded by them giggled. Curious, he waited motionlessly, wanting to see what these children were going to do. It did not take long for those older children to blow up the things in their hands. They tied them up with a rope and put it on the children. Then, they took the children into the water and swam toward the reef. Oh, it's just a pig blowing bubble or some animal blowing bubble. They are not stupid. They are afraid that they can't take care of the children. Once they put it on, they won't be afraid of sinking, the owner said with disdain. In fact, he was thinking of getting more pigs to blow bubbles in the future. That way, they would not have to worry about falling into the water, especially when there was a storm. Although everyone here knew how to swim, they would not be able to summon their chi if there was a storm. What Sun Dongjia saw was something else. This is not a matter of blowing bubbles. It is the relationship between the local people. For a child to be able to do such a thing, it is usually taught by the adults. They cannot be a family. For them to be able to say such things, it is the elder brothers and sisters who take care of the younger sister. In other words, if one offended a commoner in this place, they would offend all the commoners in Luzhou. If one of the 10,000 commoners took a piece of flesh from one's body, one would be reduced to a skeleton. When Luzhou first learned about this place, there were mountain tribesmen and small tribes. They were unfamiliar with each other and were wary of each other. Now that Luzhou saw a child blowing bubbles, it was obvious that he was a mountain tribesman. This means that after Zhang Zhong came here, the mountain people can live well with the local people. When all the people are working hard for one thing, that's the scariest moment. At this moment, a few boat owners came from behind the two of them. When they saw the group of children swimming in the sea, they did not know what to say. At the same time, they no longer had the special sense of superiority that they had in this place. They finally understood. When they came here, they thought that this place would be poor and that a little thing would be able to move the people here. However, they did not expect, or were unwilling to think, that the provincial governor of this place was not any less knowledgeable than them. In fact, in terms of knowledge, he was more knowledgeable than them. With such a person in charge, even the people from the capital could not show any superiority, let alone the people from the Yellow River. Whether it was knowledge, identity, status, or wealth, they could not compare with Zhang Zhong, the provincial governor. They should do their job honestly. Otherwise, it would be easy for the local people to dislike them. Not to mention the merchants from the Yellow River. Even the officials from the capital could not do anything about it. The local people did not care whether they were from the capital or not. They only knew that Luzhou was the provincial governor. Zhang Zhong knew about the situation in the capital, but would Zhang Zhong think highly of them just because they were lucky enough to pass by the capital? Dream on. He could have been an official in the capital, but he did not. Did he really care about the people from the capital? The owners of the Yellow River boat line had come with a sense of superiority when they knew about the capital city. However, when they arrived, they suddenly found that their sense of superiority had been torn to pieces by the other party. The children did not know what the people on the ships were thinking, and they did not care about the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company. They just played as they should as long as they paid attention to their own safety. How could the people who live by the sea not know how to swim? Especially when there were two rivers and those tributary rivers, the children would jump into the water and swim for a while when they had nothing to do. If it were not for the fact that the waves were too strong, even a 2-year-old girl who was protected could swim over by herself. Now, all of Luzhou's citizens had to learn how to swim. They had to swim as well as they could so that they could last as long as possible. This was to prevent another flood from happening. The children did not think too much about other things. They just wanted to get some fish and prawns to exchange for some pocket money and buy something they liked, such as the cloth dolls. These cute dolls that were about the same height as them were sold at a very low price. They only needed to pay 15 copper coins to get one. The girls liked them the most, including the 2-year-old girl. Even if she could not speak clearly, when she saw those cloth dolls, she hoped to get one. She used her limited vocabulary to express her wish to the other big brothers and big sisters. Therefore, these children wanted to satisfy the little sisters' needs first. They only wanted to achieve their goal, and they did not know how many people were worried about them. From the moment they entered the water, the people at the dock had been watching them. They were all very good swimmers. As long as they saw the children in a drowning posture, they would immediately come to the rescue. Among them, there were even 4 members of the vigorous seedling protection team who were guarding here. Only now did they know that the so-called vigorous seedling protection team was not protecting the rice seedlings in the field at all, but protecting the children. When the children were doing their own things, they would only watch from the side. Only when there was danger would they come to the rescue. Many people did not understand this kind of thinking. Why didn't they just protect the children when they were playing? Why did they only come to the rescue when there was danger? It was like boiling hot water. Although they knew that the children might be scalded, they did not stop them. Instead, they let the children try. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood that children could not always be placed in the cradle. If that was really the case, it would be like what happened more than 100 years ago, which made people look down on China. Both of them learned about what happened more than 100 years ago from their own channels. That was the competition between the children of Japan and China on the grassland. It was survival in the wild. At that time, China sent out all the children of high-ranking officials and rich businessmen, but the result was a crushing defeat. Those people could do other things, but they were definitely not suitable for survival in the wild. According to Zhang Xiaobao, if some children from the orphanage were sent out at that time, they could let the Japanese know what it meant to be strong. Even if they sent out children from the countryside, it would be the same. In a competition on the grassland, they sent out the children of the herdsmen. Why would they still need to carry backpacks and bring food? Therefore, the two of them did not want to raise some children who could not do anything. They planned to cultivate the children's independence, self-improvement, and self-esteem from a young age. They would let the children fight for themselves and understand the society. The adults would only hide and watch. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also learned about the arrival of the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company. The two of them did not care about these ships at all. It was really whimsical to think that they would do fur trading here. The two of them were now thinking about the attitude of the Yellow River Shipping Company. If the attitude of the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company was better, then Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan decided to let them suffer a big loss. Then, they would come up with a cooperation plan when they were depressed. If their attitude was not good, then they would let them taste some benefits first. The final result was naturally needless to say. Xiaobao, what can we cooperate with the Yellow River Shipping Company? Even without them, we can still take over the transportation on the other side of the Yellow River. Wang Wan still did not know what kind of cooperation they could have with the Yellow River Shipping Company. It seemed that they did not need the people from the Yellow River Shipping Company, especially since they had already bought a lot of ships there. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan and said helplessly, "You really should have interned in some business groups when you entered the Special Second Department. Your family should have that kind of business, right? The Yellow River Shipping Company is not important. What is important is the estuary of the Yellow River. What is that place? How many countries are there? We can't jump from one place to another all of a sudden. We don't want to go there next. If there was no Yellow River Shipping Company, then we would have wasted a lot of time. We will slowly grow up. Some things can be skipped at once, but some things need to be done step by step. Since we don't have so much energy to care about the estuary, why not let others go there? The country does not belong to the two of us. If we can let others go there, then we should let them get some benefits. The estuary of the Yellow River is our next step. Now, we just need to take over Qingzhou Bay. That's it. When the time comes, as long as the other coastal areas are not idiots, they can learn from us and develop bit by bit. Oh, I know that too. Your plans are too perfect, making people forget a lot of things. On one hand, you say that this country isn't yours, but on the other hand, you're constantly influencing this country. Do you think I'm to blame for this? Wang Wan was clearly in the wrong, but she still wanted to argue. If it was in the past, she would definitely not do this. Who asked Zhang Xiaobao to follow one plan after another? She couldn't help but rely on him. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan and knew what was going on. He immediately said, "Let's not talk about this first. Let's talk about the construction here. Especially after the new year, what should we do? Should we let the people have their own fields, or should we let them do things together like now?" Wang Wan was just saying. She couldn't blame others for her mistakes. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's question, she thought for a moment and said, "You'll be in charge of this. If you can let the people still do things according to your ideas after your father leaves, then continue to work together. If you think that the new officials will affect your ideas, then naturally you have to understand the people's fields now. At this time, the disaster is over, and the people don't have any other ideas. Besides, your father is here. No matter what the decision is, the people won't oppose it. I don't care about this. I need to train soldiers. Now, there are more than 36,000 people. I need to train at least 4,000 soldiers. Originally, in this era, we didn't send troops overseas. We only sent troops to Japan for a period of time. But who asked you to come here? It's fine if you come here. You could just stay here. Everything is fine, but you have to go to other places to get some things. It's easy to just get food crops, but you still want to go to other places to get minerals. How can there not be conflicts? If there is a conflict, can the operation of the economy be solved? In the case of military force, it is like this. However, some people always want to challenge some bottom lines. How can it be done without an army? I'm helping you to plunder the economy. Thank me. No, I've decided to give up. I won't go to other places to get things. If you want to train the army, then say your own things. Why do you still want to help me? I didn't graduate from military command. I can't care so much. Zhang Xiaobao quickly denied. He looked at Wang Wan and felt that she had learned bad things. How could she know that this should be a political calculation? This is not good, not good. Wang Wan laughed. Xiaobao, you have to be gentlemanly. You learned so many things in prison. How can you not know military command? No, I really don't. That kind of person won't be locked in the prison I can go to. What I learned is the worst. It's easy to change identities. If you want to enter a prison with so many soldiers, you don't even need to think about it. I learned shooting training when I went abroad. I didn't learn anything about military command from them. At that time, I thought that those things were too far away from me. Zhang Xiaobao really didn't learn any military command knowledge in the prison he went to. He only learned some simple fighting skills from a few retired soldiers. He was far from those who really knew how to fight. He had never met special forces in those prisons. Well, even if it's for me, will you support me? You can't let me stay by your side like a secretary, right? Seeing Zhang Xiaobao deny, Wang Wan said another reason. I support you. You can do whatever you want, but you have to think about it. You're still young. Don't expose your identity. It's best to teach others and let others fulfill your ideas. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have the slightest resistance in this aspect. He didn't know about other women, but for Wang Wan, letting her always do a kind of work that she was not suitable for was a kind of suppression to her. Zhang Xiaobao never thought of suppressing Wang Wan. The two people complemented each other. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao was still the original Zhang Xiaobao. He didn't change because of some of the environment here. She was very happy and said, "Don't worry, it won't cause any trouble." Huzi and the others are almost done learning now. When the time comes, let them stand at the front. The two people reached an agreement after a while of bickering. Wang Wan finally began to really play to her strengths. Although there were many different methods of war at that time, these methods were not directly derived. They were things that evolved bit by bit according to ancient war. Even if the equipment was different, some of the ideas of war were still the same. This was the so-called no change is far from the center. After she came here, she also worked hard to learn the war methods here. With many years of experience and her willingness to learn, she had already learned some things about war here. She didn't directly deny those military formations. No matter when, there would always be formations. Even the war she fought at that time was nothing more than a change in the formation. It was more complex and more diverse. Even the Special Forces assault was similar to some of the assault teams in the war here. Airplanes had their formations, tanks had their formations, and warships had their formations. It was just that the carriers were different, so the formations were different. Then, the current formations could also be adjusted with her knowledge. Moreover, the current formations were easier to understand. Compared to what she learned at that time, Wang Wan was absolutely sure that the changes in formations here were too simple. This was based on the weapons. There were too few types of weapons in use now. When commanding, one only needed to know the advantages and disadvantages of a certain type of weapon. It was much worse than what she learned at that time. When she learned it, the cooperation between different types of soldiers could tire people to death. Now, there was no need for that. She could just do what she needed. At this time, what she needed to do was to cultivate the discipline of the soldiers, their physical strength, and so on. Once done, they could become a powerful army. In terms of various terrains, she specially designed new formations, such as the Mandarin Duff formation that would appear in the future and so on. Now that everything was in place, all she had to do was wait for the soldiers she could train. Based on the ratio of population, she had about 1/10 of them. Of course, this ratio was not fixed. She could not say that if there were 100,000 people here, she would have 10,000 soldiers. Then, if the Great Tang had 1 billion people, would she have 100 million soldiers? Obviously, that was not possible. Let's do it during the Spring Festival. After the Spring Festival, you can start conscripting soldiers. Now is not the time to use your own money to buy soldiers. Even if there are people in some places who do this, we should still use the current method to transfer soldiers. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan's eager expression and said, "Yes, I think so too. But in terms of the actual operation, you can use a different method. Normally, the equipment for my soldiers here is provided by the provincial government, and the equipment for the provincial government is provided by the imperial court. Then, the imperial court can provide less equipment, and I don't know when the equipment will be shipped over. Then, it will be provided by the provincial government. Does your father have equipment? With the small number of people here, he didn't even assign any military officers. It will be strange if he could find equipment. You will pay for the weapons and armor. I will find someone to secretly make them. You will also be in charge of the uniforms and food. Enough. You don't need to say any more. I understand. As long as it's related to the army, I will take care of it, including the money for pension. You can train less for 1,000. At most for 1,000. The others still need to be involved in construction. If you send too many people, I won't be able to do anything." Zhang Xiaobao didn't wait for Wang Wan to finish speaking before he understood what she meant. This was no different from what the Tang dynasty did in the past few years. When the imperial court couldn't afford to raise an army, the last few Jadushi would have to raise them themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so quick to rebel. Wang Wan also knew that Zhang Xiaobao didn't lack the money to raise soldiers. What he lacked was manpower. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's restrictions, she nodded and said, "Okay, I will listen to you in this aspect. I will not recruit more than 4,000 soldiers from my province. But we have to say that the army is the army. If there is a disaster here, we can mobilize, but we don't care about farming. You don't need to care. You can slowly complete your idea. I hope you can understand the law of war here. Sometimes, the quality of a general is very important. For example, when it comes to a one-on-one battle, Don't let such a person not appear. Wait, what did you say just now? Not recruit from your province? Don't tell me you want to recruit from other provinces? Zhang Xiaobao agreed. But as he spoke, he thought of the meaning in Wang Wan's words. It didn't seem to be that simple. Wang Wan chuckled and said, "You heard wrong. Don't worry, I won't recruit people from the surrounding provinces. It's not easy for them either. 4,000 people are enough for me. Yes, that's enough. No matter what the situation on the battlefield is, no matter how many people participate in the battle, 4,000 people are enough to change something at a critical time." Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to care too much about Wang Wan's matters. After all, the two of them were no longer children. Both of them needed to have their own careers. In addition to this military method, Wang Wan also had a side business, which was to make some clothes and other things, including cosmetics that would appear in the future. When Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao reached an agreement, she finally changed from her previous steadiness and rushed out of the room happily, shouting loudly. Zhang Xiaobao sat on a chair and listened to Wang Wan's voice outside. He shook his head helplessly. He really doubted whether Wang Wan could manage an army well. According to Wang Wan's rank when she graduated from the military academy, it seemed that she couldn't manage so many people. It was very likely that she would be a minor officer with a deputy position. But since she had agreed, then let her try. She would be better than some of the current generals here, especially in terms of tactics. At that time, she had studied tactics for many years. While everyone else had things to do, Chao Hui and the other two also found things to do. The three of them were still shouldering the mission of the Tang, governor of Ning. They thought about it for a while and discussed it together several times. In the end, they finally decided to give up on the idea of using others to scout for information. The people sent by Zhang Zhong were already monitoring the surroundings of their house. They thought that the people in their house should also be in the same situation. At this time, if they wanted to get useful information, they would only send one person out, and that person would be caught. There was no need to rely on luck at all. In the end, the three of them discussed and came up with a solution. The three of them took the initiative to look for Zhang Zhong, hoping that he could arrange for them to do something. Then, they would slowly infiltrate here until there was hope that they could get the cement recipe. The first one to look for Zhang Zhong was Chao Hui. He was in charge of probing to see if it would work. Zhang Zhong was still busy with the new year. Chao Hui chased after him on his horse. When Zhang Zhong arrived at a county, he saw him. Seeing that Zhang Zhong was there directing people to move things down one by one, Chao Hui was not in a hurry. He just watched from the side and waited for Zhang Zhong to finish his work. Then, he came closer and said with a smile, "Lord Zhang, I'm here to see if there's anything I can do. After all, I can already do something. Now that I've changed, I want to help the local people do something practical. I don't know if Sir can give me such a chance." Chao Hui's words were very sincere. If an ordinary person didn't understand, they would really be deceived by him. Zhang Zhong actually didn't understand him very well, but this had no effect on how he did things. At home, his son and daughter-in-law had already mentioned several methods that Chao Hui would take. At this time, when he heard Chao Hui's words, Zhang Zhong immediately thought of a possibility. So he said to Chao Hui, according to what they discussed at that time, "Oh, Magistrate Chao, have you thought it through? You know what to do." "Yes, I've thought it through. I was wrong in the past. I shouldn't have put the people in such a low position. I've decided now. I'll do more for the people and make their lives better. I hope you'll grant me my wish." When Chao Hui heard Zhang Zhong's words, his heart became happy. It seemed that there was a door. As long as there was something to do, he would be able to gain Zhang Zhong's trust little by little. Zhang Zhong's expression was still the same. There was a trace of doubt in his eyes. He hesitated and said, "In that case, I'll give you something to do. Do you know that it's almost the new year?" I know. Rest assured, sir, as long as you give this matter to me, I'll do it well." When Chao Hui heard Zhang Zhong mention the new year, he immediately stopped worrying. Wasn't it just organizing the new year? It was simple, so he quickly agreed. "Good. Since you have this determination, then I'll give it to you. The new year is simple. The main thing is that after the new year, it's time to plan some things. You'll be responsible for Responsible for planting things? Okay, I can do this well. Chao Harue realized that Rinpochian didn't want him to organize the new year. Planting things was also fine. When the time came, he just had to stay by the field and didn't need to do anything. Zhang Zhong shook his head. It's not farming. There will be people in charge of farming. That's before farming. In this field, if there is no fertilizer, then good things won't grow. You'll be responsible for fertilizing. Get some feces from various places, whether it's human or animal, and then put it in the field. Also, remember to ferment some of the stalks. If you put them in directly, it's easy to burn the seeds or seedlings. That's it. I believe you can do it well. Are there any other questions? No, sir. Rest assured, I will definitely do this matter well. I'll organize people to arrange it. Chao Harue stuttered. He didn't expect that in the end, he would be assigned such a job. When he thought about dealing with feces all day during the new year, he felt very uncomfortable in his stomach and wanted to vomit. Zhang Zhong didn't care about what Chao Harue thought and continued. Composting is not as simple as you think. Have you never composted in this place before? Don't worry. I'll send someone from my family to teach you. You have to learn carefully. First of all, you have to learn how to manage others better. When the time comes, the smell may be a little bad. Just bear with it. I hope that at that time, you can stand at the front. Don't be afraid of hardship, and don't be afraid of fatigue. The smell of feces is a little bad, but it's essential for growing crops. You have to pay attention to it. Can you do it? Yes, if others can do it, then I can do it. I'll do it better than others. Sir, don't worry. Leave the feces matter to me. I don't feel uncomfortable at all. I don't feel uncomfortable. Chao Harue's eyes were red because of his retching, but he still insisted. Well, then I'm relieved. After the new year, I'll naturally look for you. If others can be like you, then it'll be good. Zhang Zhong laughed and said to Chao Harue. He had thought of this method a long time ago. He just wanted to see how these people would do. Chao Harue wanted to die now. He really didn't know what to say. Was it so easy to make feces? He would be suffocated to death. Especially Zhang Zhong. He had to learn from others. He really didn't know how to endure this. As long as he thought about feces, he had a feeling of wanting to vomit. Seeing that Zhang Zhong was going to continue to the next place, he quickly said, Sir, I have one more thing to say. In fact, I'm not the only one who is willing to do this. Fan Jinshi and Jiang Huanshi also have the same idea. I don't know if you can give the two of them a chance and let them follow me to contribute to the farming. When Chao Harue said this, he thought in his heart, Brothers, I'm sorry. I can't always be the only one who has bad luck, right? There has to be someone to accompany me. Zhang Zhong laughed secretly, nodded to Chao Harue, and said, This. They didn't come to me, so I naturally can't ask them to do things directly. It's better to wait for them to have the same idea as you, than let them come. What do you think? Okay, sir, then I'll go back. Sir, don't worry. In fact, the two of them had this idea a few days ago. As long as I tell them about it, they will agree. Sir, I'll take my leave first. Chao Harue's purpose was finally achieved. He happily said to Zhang Zhong and was about to leave. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.